Welcome to the PokerStars Arena and the penultimate week of the Blowout Series, as we get to watch some of the best in the game showcasing the final table of the biggest buy-in event on the schedule. It is the $10,000 High Roller. Hello everyone, I'm James Hartigan, alongside me, Joe Stapleton.
Hello, my babies. And that's it.
I hope everyone is well and navigating what very much feels, Joe, not like the first month of a new year, but like the 13th month of 2020. We are here to provide you with that much needed entertainment, diversion and distraction this evening. The High Roller we are covering plays down to a winner tonight. Meanwhile, it is day two of the $530 Big Blowout, which is a prize pool of more than $6.4 million. More on that later. Here's the story of the series so far, the latest Blowout Series stats. We've got 166 games in the books, entries across the series totaling nearly 1.5 million, and a total series prize pool so far of more than $56 million, with winners taking $6.6 million. And while we're talking about winners, let's highlight some of the players who've become Blowout Series champions in the last 7 days. Players like Rui Ferreira, Nazar114, who took down the 5K 6-max High Roller. Nicholas Ashtet, Lena 900, won his second Blowout Series title last week. Meanwhile, Dominic Nitsche got his first in the $530 Turbo. That was worth more than $30,000. Olashemian, Wizzo took down the $215 6-max event. Ramiro Patron got nearly $83,000 for winning the 109 8-max. And the 1K No Limit Hold'em was won by Andrus Namath Pro Beers. And here, Joe, is a hashtag fun fact. Namath is currently second in chips in the $530 Big Blowout. Now bear in mind, this event still has more than 3,600 runners. We're going to be streaming that tomorrow as they play down from 16 to a winner. But as far as the High Roller is concerned, Namath's in that one as well. Pro Beers is a big stack coming into the final table of this 10K event. And last week's High Roller winner, Tim Adams, is back for more. Yes, Tim O'Thee with 81 bigs, more than 2 million chips. So many stars of the game: Sammy Kellepura, Rui Ferreira, Jonathan Ape Stars Van Fleet. There is Pro Beers with a 29 big blind stack. Sick one, Klaus Segerbrecht is the only shorty with 9 big blinds. He is in the danger zone.
Danger zone!
Everyone guaranteed at least 34.5K. 6-figure scores for the top 4 with more than $250,000 up top. Well, joining us in the arena to analyze the action is the 29th place finisher in this event, Samuel Grafton. What up, the squid?
What did that pay? Did I get something for that? Did Stars make a reimbursement to my account for 29?
Well, Sam, while we're doing hashtag fun facts, I can tell you that 15 got paid in this event, and now we are down to 9. We're going to pick up the action in level 20, 12.5K, 20K blinds. 30-minute blind levels in this event. And Sam, I know that you know all the players in this final table because you've spoken about them all before and you play against them regularly. It is the usual lineup of extraordinary talent that we would expect. And I think most extraordinary for us is to see Tim Adams come in as chip leader 7 days after he won last week's High Roller event, the 5K PKO.
Yeah, I sent him a little voice note to moan yesterday. I'm not saying anything nice about Tim Adams again. I don't want to hear he's humble, he's generous, he's kind to animals, stray animals in the street. I don't want to hear anything good about Tim Adams. I want him to make mistakes. I hope he punts it off. That's my main feeling about today. I'm going to say nice things about every player except Tim Adams. I'm going to try and besmirch his reputation today.
We look forward to it. 30-minute delay on the action, all the hands, cards up as we play down from 9 to a winner in the $10,000 High Roller here on the Blowout Series. And here we go. Cards, virtual cards in the virtual air.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty exciting lineup. Of course, we love to see, amateurs and lesser known players like get the big scores over the huge fields, but this really gets me excited. I was I was really sad to miss out on watching Tim's last victory. I watched the replay actually, to see how it's done. I'm a big fan of following these guys, and it's going to be very intense. And to see the best in the world, how they approach things, it's going to be really, really exciting. And 30-minute clock means that there's going to be a lot of play here, a lot of play, especially
Sam,
how well these guys play short stacks. Yes, Joe.
what did you glean from watching that final table replay?
Good question.
Well, I'm always trying to make notes on the best players, like how they would approach a spot differently. Like I sort of predict as I go along. I think that's a fun thing to do, as well as hearing the little anecdotes of James Hartigan and Bon Mott's of Joe Stapleton, to try and think like, okay, what would I do here? Is this going to be a shove, etc. I mean, we do a little bit of that in the commentary box. And then other times, if I think someone's making a mistake, perhaps I note it for the future. And Rui and F, Ace is going to be very strong on this river. And Timothy maybe going to have a bluff here. 7 high, very, very low in his range.
And it's a bluff that is likely to get called. Sam, fully expecting this pot to get shipped to Rui Ferreira here. Not potentially contemplating a raise, is he, on this river? No, just a call. You talked about how we love the stories of the amateurs, or the rags to riches stories, if you like. Should highlight that there is one player at this final table, Pablo 9X, who we don't know that much about. No major event wins to their name. We do know that Pablo satellited into this 10K for $109.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, Pablo was on my table yesterday. Actually bust me in this tournament with pocket tens. And he did seem to play an aggressive style, was playing a lot of hands. Certainly wasn't afraid to move the chips around. Obviously, that might be different on a final. And yeah, I don't know them either and haven't played with them before. So that is exciting. And it's quite nice to have a wild card in there.
Yeah, we've got the pocket rockets here for Limitless.
Yeah, we've seen that with Monkey Boss before. Like someone just playing a little unorthodoxly makes, if that's the word, playing a little unorthodox makes everyone readjust.
I think it's unorthodoxistically.
Yes.
Well, Sam, you mentioned that you were KO'd by Pablo. We got Brian Smurf watching. He says, Pablo 9 bubbled me in the $109 satellite for this 10K. Still hurts today.
A wrecking ball through the poker community, Pablo 9, ending people's dreams in $100 tournaments and 10K tournaments.
So yeah, confirmation that we now have a 30-minute clock for the rest of this event. 17,500, 35,000 will be the next blind level. We're now at 1530. Serious question though, Sam, had you always planned to enter this, or was it a case of last minute flick it in?
Yeah, I think that on a Sunday, I will normally play a 10K. A 25K is a bit of a stretch. Not normally a $10,000, particularly in a series. I'll play a 10K. The million guarantee is obviously a chunky one and means that there'll be a little bit of value there. And I like to battle with these guys when I can. It's tough. Yeah, Joe.
Do you tell your parents you're playing a 10K, or do you just kind of be like, I'm going to play poker today?
Yeah, they don't. In the mornings, they can just tell. They're like, how'd it go? I'm like, I just give a shake of the head. Just give a shake of the head, like nothing.
Just to inform anyone who has missed the previous week's streams, Sam was staying with his parents for just a couple of days when lockdown hits. So Sam is now kind of confined with his mum and dad for the next few weeks.
In this luxury booklet. If anyone wants any CDs, I will sell them via Depop. I have just to my left, my parents'
10 for a penny
CD collection. Yes. So, hello Totty with King Knight. Did he check? I missed the action here now. I was so excited by my parents' Nat King Cole CDs just on my right. I think they watch it, so I should be careful. I think they watch it in the living room show. Shout out to my parents. I can't be too rude.
Mom, turn the TV down. Turn it down.
Yes, exactly. And hello, Totti, going for it on the river. And this is, again, a spot where Rui is contemplating between raise and call. Every decision, obviously, crucial for these guys. Every pot worth a huge amount of money. And Rui does go for the raise.
And there we go,
And,
up to 2.2 million. And Rui takes the chip lead here, Sam, with more than 2 million chips. Meanwhile, we've still got Klaus Sagerbrecht as the shorty with 200K, super short stack.
Yeah, I was watching I had the tables up on the side, actually. I was watching the bubble with 15 left. There was 16 left, and Klaus was 16 of 16. So he's obviously navigated this short stack extremely well. Well, Phil, he's on, not on a free roll because you reset, but he will play this stack very, very well. One of the things about the top players is they really know how to navigate 4 back blinds, 5 blinds. And yes, James is looking aghast as we see.
Yeah, because, Mr. Grafton, I forecast a car crash here. Rui opens with the kings, and Jonathan Van Fleet, Ape Styles, has queens in the small blind. Interestingly, we've got Hello Totti to act first, though, with king queen on the button.
Hello, Totti.
And Ape Styles probably going to squeeze here rather than jam. We shall see. Obviously, John, one of the best in the world, but this is a very much a hand-over-hand situation. There's 480K in the middle already, with Ape Styles just 930 behind. You'd expect the chip leader to be opening quite loose as well into these medium stacks.
Yep, you're just boned.
I think Kings just gets jammed here. Yeah. One queen
Totti
in the
can
deck.
fold the king queen. Okay, serious question though. Is there any chance for Jonathan to get away from this, Sam, when you consider the short stacks, players like Sick One with 200K?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
His name's Ape Styles, not Stape Styles, okay? He's not trying to ladder up.
Well, we know that a queen has been folded and there is no queen on the river, and that will be the elimination of Ape Styles. Jonathan Van Fleet exiting in 9th place, first casualty from this final table. Cashes for $34,639. And Rui Ferreira increases his chip lead at this now 8-handed final table, close to 3.6 million.
Yeah, and everyone at the table loving that, moving up the pay ladder and obviously seeing one of the strongest players in the world in the form of John Van Fleet exiting. And I really feel for Ape there because I think we remember, was it the WCOOP final table as well? He exited really early, ace king to jacks, maybe in 8th place in another cooler situation. And again, I'm sure he'd want to show he has his own stream and, you know, wants to show his fans what he's capable of. Very, very strong final table player, something he almost specializes in, really at the forefront of understanding of ICM, and just a cooler, you know, and great for Sick One, great for Rui, and bad for John.
Interestingly there, Sam, because obviously Ape Styles was streaming this, and Zeddy was watching Jonathan Van Fleet's stream when he went out. After being eliminated, Ape Styles checked his sims after the bust out, and they all showed, with ICM considerations, queens should have been a fold there. Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not a good spot to be getting in. I know he felt the same about the pocket jacks call off from VBV on the WCOOP final. I mean, there's ICM theory, and then in practicalities, sometimes people don't. You know, it's quite hard when you're up against someone you play every day. You're on a stream to make these big folds that are so counterintuitive to everything we used to think about poker. It's very, very hard. You know, people in satellites, when they're supposed to fold aces and kings, they just never do. It's very, very difficult, even for someone as well studied as John Van Fleet.
Well, picking up the action here, we have our qualifier Pablo 9 with a pair of tens.
What a good value bet this is from ProBeers. Look at this board with the ace out there as well. And ProBeers going for half pot, allowing an inviting price. Just got such a strong sense of where he is in hands. These guys really, I mean, I think people tuning in will recognize these names, but we really are watching some of the very, very, very best poker players in the world here. Pro B, as you mentioned at the top of the show, a big stack in the main event, a decent stack here. He's been a wrecking ball for a couple of years now in cash games, in tournaments, right across the board. So strong, so aggressive. By the way, I mean, really has a gear that maybe I don't have. We'll see if he gets a stack. Like, he'll put people under the cosh for sure.
Well, start of day, Tim Adams has opened here with the Snowmans.
Num.
And now we've got Victor Malinovsky, limitless, flatting with ace-jack. We go to the flop, which has an 8 on it. It's a set for Tim O'Thee.
The case 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, and nothing for limitless. So we'll see how this hand goes down. Saw limitless tanking about calling or folding the ace jack. Just a little less inviting to float when you don't. You imagine when you have the suited hands, king, queen suited, ace jack suited, there's 3 suits you can float this flop with backdoor straights and overcards. These offsuit hands just don't. That's when people talk about suited properties of hands. It's not just making a flush. It's just being able to call bets with some implied odds down the street. We could see, of course, there he was very, very dead against Timothy's pocket 8s, but. And Rui opening up a little bit with the jack 8 suited, and another set.
And second hand in a row, we've seen a flopped set, this time for Hello Totty.
The case card again. I mean, that's how you get here. Forget studying, forget working hard, being able to flop sets when there's only one out in the deck. That's how you make a final table. The people who are best at doing that are the ones who are sitting here, and don't try to convince me otherwise.
Absolutely. What Timothy here 2 weeks in a row in the high rollers, and we've just seen one hand, one set. That's basically how he's doing it. It's just
on a sample size.
I'm glad we've got this stream to expose him.
Absolutely. And I love that from a sample size of one hand, which is a huge amount of scientific evidence, we can concur that Tim Adams is nothing but a huge luck box.
No, I mean, Joe Stapleton, it was basically scientific, wasn't it? We had the first hand, as scientists, this was our proposal. And then we had the confirmation on the second hand. It's conclusive. That's basically how Isaac Newton did it, I'm pretty sure.
100% of our experiments have proven our hypothesis.
Well, the first time was 100%. I think 200% of experiments.
200%, you're right.
And Rui protecting the 6 on the flop. And looks like he is going to get a little bit of value with the queen kick.
Oh, goodness.
Didn't we just have some kind of scientific evidence that Tim Adams was a luck box and now this happens to him?
Look how lucky he is. He's made trips. That's great. You called with one pair and you made trips.
No, this is another situation.
Case card.
So these guys are very, very deep, right? So it's going to be Timothy's the only one with aces. Timothy's the only one with 9s. I don't know. And that's a good card for Timothy on the river. This is going to slow things down a bit. Obviously, there are some king-high spades that Timothy will check call. Very, very occasionally ace-x of spades as well. And Rui does go for value. Understandably. I mean, I expected this. And Timothy forced to pay. And what a fast start for Rui here.
Absolutely.
Really flying, everything going his way. The benefit of 2 callers, essentially.
I'd say 2 things though, Sam. First is that Rui nearly 4 million now, but also the fact that Tim still has 1.5 million is a credit when you consider what happened there. And now we have sick one all in with King 10 against Queen Jack, and King High holds, and that is going to be a double up for Klaus Segerbrecht, who's still short though, 11 big blinds after that. Sam, can you do me a favor? Can you just lift your left arm slightly, please? Just move your left arm just up and...
No, show us
your
the
sleeves. I naively thought that was like some blanket or decoration on the chair, but no, it's actually part of your attire.
Well, I can't go out to any clubs anymore, right? I'm stuck at home. I tried. I phoned up the clubs at Leamington Spa. They're abiding by these government rules or whatever, you know? And, so I have to... This is the only day I dress up, you know? Like, for the stream. You know, this is like big...
What about the rest of your shirt? Why did you only dress up your sleeves?
Yes, exactly. It's a little.
He's collecting peacock feathers, Joe, and he only has enough for the sleeves right now. Over time, he'll be able to add more flair to the outfits.
It's like he's slowly becoming a disco dragon.
Now, we all know that Andrus Namath cannot fold here. 10-9 suited. If you're playing the Grafton rule, compulsory hand to play. As Rui 3-bets with ace-king, and Hello Totti has tens.
Yeah, given that he can't fold, it's going to be tough if he has to call off against a 4-bet shove with 10-9 suited. And Totti
still a 10 left in
releases...
the deck.
Are you surprised at the fold with tens?
Yeah, I mean, again, ICM, you have to back down. You have to back down. I think the Pro Beers Open is from quite early position as well, and that'll keep control of... maybe if Rui were 3-betting Timothy, you might see him put it in. I think Pro Beers will sort of bear some of the burden of defense. You can see Pro Beers, he doesn't like to back down. This is a guy who always wants to mix it up. Absolutely no fear. I can say that with 100% certainty about Pro Beers. And we should say, of course, those of you, Rui, perhaps not as famous as, let's say, you know, Timothy, but very, very strong player out of Portugal, repping Polarized Poker, his sort of stable and coaching site. And Rui, very, very experienced and very, very strong player, does play super high rollers occasionally, sort of game selecting the best ones, and an amazing track record, James, online. I'm sure you'll have the stats at your fingertips of all the titles he's won.
Well, I think the standout results, Sam, from his numerous wins were in SCOOP 2019 when he won 2 titles in 2 days and was, in the most recent Spring Championship of Online Poker, the 2020 edition of SCOOP, Player of the Series.
Right. Well, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. He's an absolute beast.
In fact, he has the triple coup, which apparently is a thing, which means he's got a SCOOP, WCOOP, and TCOOP title. One of each, or several of each.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. And wonder if Pablo 9 feels they could go for a blocking bet here on the river, trying to get a little bit of value. We can see they won't get called by the ace 7. It'll be a sort of no, it doesn't feel they can go for it, and so kind of loose open from Lars Luzak. Another very, very strong player who's been #1 in the world on pocket fives. Perhaps targeting Pablo's big blind a little bit might be interesting to see, especially as we get short-handed, how, given these guys all have a lot of background against each other, whether they feel they could go after Pablo a little bit more. Sick one.
I wasn't expecting that. That took me by surprise, that one, as we see Victor Malinovsky with the snowmen.
Nom.
So here's a question for you, Sam. Sami Kelapuro, Lars Luzak, where on the Finland all-time money list?
Live earnings.
Yeah, in live earnings, where do you think Sami ranks on the Finland all-time money list?
In 12. Helsinki.
What was your answer, Sam?
12th.
Not far off, 16th.
Yeah. He doesn't really play live. I know he went deep in like a bit before my time. EPT Monte Carlo, he got like a 12th or something.
He's got a one EPT final table appearance, which was in Tallinn.
Right. Okay. The most prestigious. They only did it once because they wanted to keep it unique and special. He was in Tallinn. Sick. I'd be loving that. I've never been to Tallinn. I bet it's a good time.
It is a good time.
I think what it should happen for the next post-COVID is me and Joe. We have a little Skype call. We get a piece of paper and we write down places we would like to go. We then send that over to whatever team you have, and they organize it for us. If you need to put up a big tent, if you need to hire a banquet hall, whatever, it's just me and Joe Stapleton, EPT, I don't know.
So just to be clear, Sam, you are proposing
Tallinn,
that the live event strategy of a multi-billion-dollar company should be decided by two random bearded guys voting places in the world they'd like to visit.
EPT Medellin will be a huge hit, let me tell you.
That might sound like not a great strategy, but we are the demographic. Okay?
Yes, exactly.
And one of them actually plays poker, so it has credibility.
Sure. He's the marketing side of things, and on the poker side of things, I mean, I don't know. I think Top Brass will go for it. Rui,
do I get any say in this, by the way, as I'm going to be forced to go to all of them?
Trust this, James. You'll have a good time.
You love it.
And look at this run out. Rui NF very low in their range. It gets so hard to be unpaired. And because of ICM, Limitless doesn't open much 6x, and half pot is not gonna scare off Victor. It would need a much bigger sizing. If we imagine he had a hand like pocket nines, where Rui can be value betting a king as well, this sizing is sort of wrapping a hand worse than ace king. I thought there was some chance Rui may go for it there with the big sizing. Of course, some of these guys will even sort of randomize their sizings with their bluffs, putting some into the small sizing where they're repping a one pair type hand and some in a big sizing. And here we see Class with another opportunity to shove, and he will fight on. I fancy Segerbrecht to just randomly take this down. I'm feeling this after he managed to beat Queen Jack suited. I'm just, if anyone in the chat wants to give me some odds, I could just see him spinning from here. I don't know.
Everybody loves a good comeback.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Joe, was it last week or the previous week where you picked the short stack as the winner and 10 minutes later they were out?
I don't know. I was on break eating a hot dog. I don't really remember that.
And this is going to look very, very strong to Rui, but Hello Totty does goof around from time to time, and Jack 10 suited, a very, very playable hand, can both consider shove and call here, and does flat.
Crunchy board, all clubs, ace 10 5, so we've got top pair against second pair.
Yeah, and big problem for Hello Totty because Hello Totty has no flushes on this board, essentially, and Rui NF has all the King Jack suited, Queen Jack suited, even Queen 9 suited, and that's the reason for the check. Doesn't matter quite as much at this SBR. And now we might see Totty begin to protect with the small sizing. Very delicate situation here. Just 1.4x pot to play.
Still got sick one as the short stack at this final table with fewer than 10 big blinds. And, oh, it's a disconnection.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Totty, no!
Mate,
80 seconds is a long time.
Things are getting broken in the Totty house. Mum, the internet's gone. Oh, we're back. He's back.
Classic moment where you try to remember how to do the whole tethering thing on your phone. Do I connect via USB or via Bluetooth?
These guys are used to it.
And Rui, he will feel like he needs to defend. There's just a little bit of a random factor, I think, with Totty, where he could just have something rogue. I think that's what's made Rui stick around. And Totty may well jam here.
Yeah. And is this a serious consideration here, Sam, with Jack 10?
I think on a big final like this, every decision, you might as well just take your time. And you're not going to see people acting too quickly here on finals. Most people are probably one or two tabling. he's got no flushes, and this is a little bit unorthodox, but I think Rui will feel like he has enough ace-6 suited, three ace-5 suited, and some flushes that he just checks back the flop. I mean, if he nails the board with king-jack of clubs, he's not necessarily going to bet, right? With SBR 1.4 when he can still get it in. These guys also have history for sure. And as I said, with Hello Totti, there's a little bit. We saw a final table where he was 3-betting 5-3 suited, if you remember, versus early position opens. He's definitely got some random combos in there. I think we will see Rui lay this down, but obviously he's a top player. He feels it's worthy of consideration.
Makes the call. And gives Hello Totti maximum value, gives Hello Totti the double up, 2 million now. As Rui drops down to 2.8, still chip leader, but not the dominant force he once was.
Yeah, and there we see the flip side of Totti's approach. He plays that more loose, aggressive style, does some out of line and creative things, and as a result, he gets paid there. I'm as I say, a little surprised by it, but you know, that's because in other spots he gets so out of line.
So we've got Trip Kings for 109 qualifier Pablo, who improves to a full house on the turn. No good belly buster for Limitless.
Uh-oh.
Pablo has the board absolutely locked.
45k into 171k.
Yeah, and Victor not falling for it.
As you know, Sam, we have a team of hundreds, if not thousands, working on info and stats on this production. And they decided to look up Sam Grafton on the Hendon Mob database. Where do you rank on the all-time money list? I bet you know.
Oh,
England.
Obviously, I thought you in England or UK all-time money list or
global all-time money list.
I guess
I'm assuming, by the way, let me just check that. Global or UK? Question mark.
Well, you're going to know from the number because UK it's quite high and global it's not very high.
Right.
I guess world, maybe I'm going to go 380th.
Do you know UK?
I think I'm like 17th UK.
Spot on UK.
Also damn close.
Oh, there we go.
And 334th on the global list.
Oh, mate. That's absolutely unbelievable. I've honestly never looked at the global because it's not like exciting, like, yes, moved up to 340th in the world all time. But
dude, you're in the top 500. That's impressive, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you know,
We're in the top 500 commentators, so it's kind of like we're in a similar company.
Sure, absolutely. Moving up the rankings, bro. This stream is big, Joe. We were nobodies. They were, you know, we're overtaking everyone. Nananoko's a nobody these days. Get out of here.
Nine's still good on a 7-6-4 flop.
Yeah, and pretty rare we see this sort of. It looks like there's a bit of a traffic jam out there. Raise, call. And one of the things I think these guys are going to be concerned of, and Totti might try and take advantage of, is Hello Totti very often going to have a pocket pair here. King Queen suited is one of the few unpaired hands you're going to flat. You tend to imagine this is 6s, 7s, 8s, set mining, in position, getting good odds. And might, you know, he could fold out an ace queen here perhaps on the flop, got the overcards, and those overcards become cleaner when you fold out Rui NF's ace queen off, for instance. And very, again, difficult situation. Rui not going to fold, but not loving it. And
diamond.
Yeah, bit of a weird card because obviously it cuts down the number of sets. Hello Totti saying 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s. You know, now there's only one combo of pocket 6s, but could go for it again. Obviously, ace king of hearts and ace king of clubs, ace queen of clubs wasn't going to fold the flop, and might fire again. Checks back.
Mine's still good.
Sorry.
Weird spot for Hello Totti.
Yeah.
Checked back, trying to realize the equity, and yeah, doesn't feel that he can rep anything credibly on the river and gives up for that reason.
Well, it's king queen suited now for Rui, who has moved up over the 3 million mark once again. Blinds going up in 2 minutes. And that was a raise and take it. We got presto. Pocket fives make it 61-633.
Fours and fives. Hold on to your butts, guys. Buckle up.
And ace king, the slickest, the biggest of slickests.
Big slick energy.
Yeah, my prediction of sick one victory is going to be dependent on winning a big flip here. Big in terms of money for class. Rui going to be not loving it, but going to be forced to cool off against 8 big blinds, I would imagine.
And there's an ace and a king on the flop. Look at the 4. The 4 for Timothy Adams, however. Full house on the river there for Segebracht, who now has nearly 550,000. Rui still hovering around the 3 million mark.
Calm down, Tim. You weren't supposed to call with the 4s. Don't be mad that a 4 came. Just chill out. Hit the sauna. Freak out. Got a couple of belly busters out here, huh?
Tim might go for a little bit of protection here. Rui snap checking. Feels like it's not a pair too often. Right, Timmy, let's go for some value now, mate, with the ace high. Show us what it's all about. Come on, brother.
Yeah.
Little tickler.
Min bets the river and gets a call from King High. Oh, Tim Adams, what a guy. 17.5K, 35K blinds now. By the way, I've got the final stats on this week's big blowout. Registration was just closing as we came to air. 12,938 entries this week. And remember, the buy-in $530. That's a prize pool of nearly 6.5 million. And a first prize of 818K. They're going to play down to the final 16 today. And then we'll watch them play down from 16 to a winner tomorrow. There's still like 2,800 runners. So once again, it's going to be a long day of poker for those guys to get down to the last 2 tables. So
looking forward to Tim Adams and Pro Beers on that final tomorrow. Tune in to see more of those 2 guys.
Well, you joke, Sam, but Pro Beers is still 3rd in chips right now with 2,730 players remaining.
So this is quite a good card here, by the way, for Rui, because Jack 10 comes in and diamonds. Lars going to be aware of that. I think he will still go for some protection here, but there's some rivers that can kill the action. Would like to see Lars bet. Yeah, it does bet for value. Bit of a weird one with the A6. Can't really improve it. In a way, you'd almost rather have a pair that bluff catches that can improve to a straight or flush. Would love to see great fold from Rui there. Really, really nice fold. Recognizing, the equity he has is very fragile. And there's so many rivers where he can't call if Luzak it doesn't have him beat already. Really nice fold from Rui there on the turn.
Snowman's.
Num num. Num num.
power of the pocket eights.
The power of no one else having any two cards remotely resembling each other.
Yeah, and look at this, same again. Matt,
Imagine if the
King
rest of the
High,
final table is like this.
yeah, King Deuce, absolutely huge.
Could be.
Pablo could have just open shoved A6 off under the gun and felt really good about it, knowing he was doing it for value. Don't do that, Pablo, if you're watching. It's not smart. Obviously, it is a little bit cagey. Still, eight-handed. You know, there's a hand out there always. What's going to be really exciting is as we get down to six-handed and five-handed, and these guys forced to battle with wider ranges. Definitely some players, Totti, Pro Beers, Limitless, who love to I love a bit of rough and tumble in the streets.
Well, these are the stories we like. Matty725 came in 6th place in a $5.50 blowout event with 28,000 players for about 25 times my bankroll. That after 1 month of playing. I like it. Bear in mind, it's not always going to go like that, Matty. There will be times when you will hate it. But I'm glad you're off to a good start.
There will be times you finish 29th in a 10K.
Yes. Brutal. It's kind of brutal day. Actually, it's quite tough after, like, you've had during some parts of lockdown, I was having big winning Sundays. I was coming into the stream all chirpy, like, oh, I've won a WCOOP this week. What's up, guys? And now it's like clambering out of bed, thinking the last thing I want to think about is poker, and I've got to listen to James Hartigan chirp on about how we've given out the winners of Blowout Series over $6 million. It's like, yeah, great, good for the, you're lucky I'm not just, good for Tim. Tim Adams here at his second final table of the week. Pro Beers and Rui already won. How much do they, half these guys already won stuff this week. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Isn't there a bit of Big Lebowski? Sometimes you eat the bar and sometimes the bar, what is it? I don't know.
Bear?
Sometimes you're the fly and sometimes you're the window shield,
Would you like me to reel off Mr. Namath's online earnings?
No, I don't. I just can't.
Pro
can't
Beers is one of
breathe.
the successful online players of all time with online winnings, rather, of $17.5 million.
He's the champagne of Pro Beers.
That's absurd. He's actually, it's funny. We played. There was an EPT Prague where we were both. He lost a massive flip. I got 13th, I think, and he got maybe he got 9th or something. He lost Ace King to Queens or Queens to Ace King, and he was really, I think, having a bit of a tough time then, and it's just gone from strength to strength over the years, and yeah, very, very successful, very, very tough to play against Pro Beers. So aggressive.
So Tim's now improved to top 2. Still a pair of 4s for Namath, who folds the turn. Tim's still hovering around the 2 million mark.
Actually, the first super high roll I've ever played, it was 50K. And he bet the river against me on day 2, and I 5x shoved the river as a bluff. And Pro Beers is just not someone. And actually, there's a photo in they do a live blog, and there's a photo of my face. Like that, sometimes they use a photo from another part of the tourney, but there is a photo of me when I've shoved all in with 9 high or whatever I've got. And Pro Beers is thinking, and I'm thinking, why have I done this? You could just see, Pro Beers didn't look at me. I'm sure he did get a live read, but it's you could see in the photo, this man is not happy with his play. If he just looked at me, he probably would have been no, I'll call you. Why are you sweating so much? I'm just going to, I don't need to look at my cards again. Why is this man, why have you gone bright red in the face?
Rather throwing up in his mouth.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal, and I was just had to leave. It was a slightly ignominious exit. Timothy, with the ace deuce off, could think about jamming here. Pro Beers gonna Open decently wide
I see.
and can't call off. Yeah, does put it in. Utilizing the
applied.
blocker. Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, the ace deuce off particularly just doesn't flop very well. So you just tend to just play it as a one card hand and say like, this card's irrelevant. I've got this card and I'm all in with it. Timothy, of course, going to know these spots really, really well. Seems to be playing a limp only strat here deep against Rui NF. And Rui, for the first time, going to take the initiative with 10-5 off, just trying to get a fold.
Not going to happen.
Little bit weird for
Pretty
Tim.
good flop for 10-5 with the 10 of hearts, huh? Doesn't get much better than this.
Yeah.
Pair of fives, 10 high flush draw. What's not to like?
Yeah, and Tim's sort of got an open-ended straight draw here. It looks like he's got nothing, but roguely against like ace jack of diamonds, he's doing fine. Against this actual hand, does still have 2 overs to the 5, of course, and will continue for that reason. I'd love to see, I think Tim going to be suited very, very often. And for that reason, Rui might want to just check. Does so. And Tim on the river, the 7 high. Ace, you would think, is a good card for Rui. But can Tim just wave the white flag? Does. Check. And I presume Rui won't go for value. We shall see. Or turn his hand to a bluff. I presume we'll see him check down and win.
Indeed.
And apart from that little misstep with the Jack 10, everything so far going Rui's way. And Pablo, who we haven't seen much of.
Yeah, I mean, Pablo doesn't seem to be getting out of line, but I'm guessing that will feel relatively confident about playing ace-king in this spot. Hello Totty opening to 72,800. And the 3-bet from Pablo, who qualified to this 10K for $109, is to 210K. Robo's quickly folding the 8s.
That's very cool. Because also, I think it must have been quite a big field. I mean, well, obviously it was. You know, you need a... Wow. This... Hello Totti's aggression. This is kind of like one of those sort of backwards plays where it's like, you've been so tight that if I 4-bet you, it's going to look really, really strong. I think Pablo still, ace-king suited, I think he must just put it in. Not going to perhaps be as familiar with Totti as some of the other guys are, knowing that he'll get out of line here. This is a really ambitious 4-bet. You understand the tank. Qualified for $109. So hard to pull the trigger, but I hope he does. 700K out there to be picked up if he can just move the chips into the middle. This is a big, big moment for the qualifier. I think on a smaller final table, you would find it easy to do. Yeah. He's thinking, I haven't played a hand at this final. I've 3-bet, and now I'm getting 4-bet. A 4-bet, and he does move it in. Nice play from Pablo 9. And that's a little bit of a gift. I mean, bumping him up to 2.5 million and second chips and get the rocket for ProBiz.
And tissues for Hello Totti to wipe their eyes. Yeah, Pablo now second in chips behind Rui Ferreira, who's chip leader with 2.8 million. And it's Tim Adams opening the action here with Queen 8 of clubs from the cutoff.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw Hello Totti get paid off by Rui, and we were a bit befuddled by it with the Jack 10 suited, but he does have that that sort of borderline genius, borderline spew in him, if I could say that with full respect, where he's got such an aggressive nature that sometimes it's brilliant, and like now, it's probably a lot of people wouldn't 3-bet this hand, but probably is going to work out against Timothy. In other situations, you just, hand your opponent 400K. But let me tell you, when we could see the cards, it feels like, great, no problem. Like, this is the two. When you're on a big final table, and I've been there with him, and you're a medium stack, and he is relentless, and he won't let you get anything through, he won't let you get any cheeky raises through, any light 3-bets. It's it can be really, really intimidating. And seeing him play this aggressive, you feel like you don't want to put in a light 3-bet. You feel like you can't try and bluff him. So, it'll be interesting to see how this strategy works out for him. I think, by the way, against the majority of the pool, it works really well. Against these slightly more studied players like Limitless, players like Timothy, it might be a bit more tricky for him. We shall see.
Well, 3-bet from Calipuro on the button with King 10 off.
Nobody letting anybody get away with anything.
Yeah.
Nope.
This is very nice from Calipuro. King 10, quite an optional 3-bet there. But, obviously, Lars Luzak, so experienced in the game, was a high-stakes boss before I even started playing. And he's got a sense of how wide Rui's opening there and going after him as a result with the blockers.
Well, this is an interesting matchup here. Top pair and the second nut flush draw versus the nut flush draw.
3 hearts folded.
Yes, John Delano, you are correct. It is artisanal sourdough for the qualifier.
Lars, I'm pretty sure, going to go for value again here with the backup of the flush draw. Means if for some reason you did get check raised, you can always continue. And just, of course, a very, very strong hand against some weaker King X, 7X of clubs, 3X of clubs occasionally. And a little bit weird for Pablo with just the ace high. You'd hate to call and be against ace 10 that was bluffing or some such hand. And Pablo does not get there.
Check the showdown, and Lars Luzak now playing 2.1 million, same size stack as Pablo.
Yeah,
Sick one still the short stack, but I noticed things have evened out, Sam. Obviously, we've seen Segabret get a couple of double ups, and not that much separating him and Andres Namath, Pro Beers.
Yeah, and in a weird way, I would say being on a tough final table, being the short stack is almost, there's no pressure. It's a little bit easier. You're just waiting for a good hand, and then you move the money in. You don't try and steal. You don't try and do anything particularly creative. And if you bust, you're not quite playing for chips. But if you bust in a flip, it's just meant to be. And as I said, class, someone I'm lucky enough to occasionally talk a tiny bit of strategy with, I know that he's very, very, very well versed in these situations. And he's going to play this kind of spot almost perfectly, I would imagine.
Absolutely. He's pure class.
We've got 6-5 against Jack 5. This is blind v blind.
There's actually a few homage screen names out there of class. So there's like a claustrophobia one where someone's got like an avatar of like it's like a fly's eye and it's lots of little classes. There's another one as well. Left on his name, I can't think. There's definitely a few bit of a cult figure with the Negrano thumbs up avatar as well.
I'm pretty sure that's actually Danny McBride from Eastbound and Down.
It's kind of tilting image, whatever it is. Looks a bit like you, by the way, Joe Stapleton. I'm not saying that you've...
Well,
yep.
As we know, anyone with a beard looks like Joe Stapleton. My God, Sam Grafton, you look just like Joe Stapleton.
All fat, bearded walruses look alike.
This is just, there's no styles anymore. No one looks different to each other. Every man just looks disheveled, overweight, and has a big beard. I mean, maybe some people are working out. I'm just getting fatter and fatter.
This is what I look like, and I also work out every day.
Well, you live in LA. There's working out. Like, if you worked out as much as you work out in LA, you'd be like the hottest guy in London. But in LA, you can work out every day and you're just nothing. You're just a huge nobody. We'll just pause a moment because Pro Beers.
I just want to have a nice enough body that people will think I'm gay.
Well, you're a long way off from that yet at the moment, Joe.
So Pro Beers opens with the King Queen suited, all in with the fives, and we could have another race in our hands. Here we go, flip the coin. Fives holding, still holding, and it's another double up as we hit the first break of the day, and that's going to leave Pro Beers super short. But let's focus on the sick one. Let's focus on Lars Segerbrand, a player who came in as the shortest stat with just 9 big blinds, but has had 3 double ups in that level, and has had a lot of online success over the years. 3 SCOOP titles in 2015 and 2 in 2016. Plus, won an event during EPT Online last year, took down a Stadium Series event last year, and won a WCOOP PKO event in 2019. And as you referenced there, Sam, he is someone who you've had the pleasure an honor to have spoken to, and this is where we love to go behind the scenes, and we like to know a bit more about the players themselves, because I can reel off stats and numbers till the cow comes home, but I don't know the guy. I've never spoken to him. What's he like as a person, as a human being?
Well, I mean, Klaus, I mainly know in a sort of studying capacity. There's a few of us that occasionally sort of swap notes and look at replays together. We never quite crossed
You're in
over.
the same class.
He was living in, when I lived in Vienna, he was living in Ireland, and then we like shipped in the night just past each other. But he's certainly someone I think that coaches quite a bit, and because of that, there's like a lot of players who actually credit a lot of their success to Klaus. I mean, that's something that takes place in the world of high stakes poker, which we don't talk about too often. But sometimes, like someone that coaches you or someone you work alongside, even if you pay them, can become a very meaningful sort of friendship and bond. And I know that Klaus has that with a lot of people. I, for instance, have that with Ape Styles. Like I went to him when I was having trouble playing poker and not winning as much as I had done previously. And he really like transformed my game working with Ape, and a friendship was born out of that. And I study with Klaus, and I can tell you he takes the game super, super seriously. And, he's perhaps not had as many headline events, for instance, getting sort of second in World Series of Poker Europe, second in WSOP High Rollers, without necessarily the EPT title or the WPT title that some people have that brings you sort of fame and renown. But he's a very, very strong poker player and an all-round nice guy.
This is going to sound like a stupid question, but when you consider that all you guys are playing in these same 5K, 10K events, the fact that you are working together to go over hands and help each other, it's almost counterintuitive, right?
Yeah, of course. It's quite strange. Sometimes there's people that you have like a really great friendship with who you have to sort of battle against. And one of the things that helps is sometimes there's a bit of swapping or a bit of staking where you feel like the sort of togetherness. And obviously it leads to, we're playing quite a studied game now where there's a bit less leveling, but obviously you're kind of like, he knows that I know. And there's also different relationships. Like, for instance, with Klaus, I've never known him socially very much, but we work together a little bit and we study it together and swap notes and such like. Where someone with Tim, I know very, very well socially, I have dinner with and like hang out and party with sometimes. Not that he parties a bit boring, but like he tags along sometimes while I party. But for instance, we don't study together or really talk strategy. So, there's different relationships in poker, but just being on the circuit together, very often you end up forming friendships and working together.
I'm pretty sure if Klaus hung out with you socially, that spigot of knowledge would get shut down pretty quickly. Sam, is there anyone who just flat out refuses to impart any wisdom on anybody? Like, don't ask me.
Well, I think that people can be protective about, there are little groups and little cliques. I don't want to get into the politics. And there's some people that really go their own path. For instance, someone like Hello Totty, like we don't even know, you guys at Stars don't know his name. I've played with this guy for absolute years. And as far as I know, I've never met him or never come into contact with him.
Well, we're going to go back to the final table of this 10K high roller where Rui Ferreira has the chip lead with a 78 big blind stack. Klaas Segerbrecht now 6th in chips with 24 bigs. It's Andres Namath who's short with just 8 big blinds. And a reminder of what they are playing for at this final table. We saw Jonathan Van Fleet, 8 stars, bow out in 9th place. And next player out gets 44K near enough with more than 260K up top. Mr. Stapleton is going to take a break from the booth. He will be circling the arena, searching for his first hot dog of the night. Mr. Grafton and I will continue to watch the action as we resume with the blinds at 17.5K, 35K. And back to it we go.
Wow, I've suddenly realized that are we on an 8-hour delay and Klaas is the actual winner, and that's why you've referenced him as if you've just got foresight. It's actually all finished. They wrapped it up. Everyone's all in. The tournament's over in 20 minutes, and Klaas is the winner. So you do. And look at this, 6-1 with the Kings, and King Jack off against Kings is in very, very bad shape. Just 8%.
And it's a king high flop, just to kind of add a little bit of insult to injury. No help on the river for Andres Namath, and Pro Beers goes out in 8, taking us down to 7. Andres cashing for $43,717. And let me just check in the lobby of the big blowout event, down to 2,350 players, Sam. Pro Beers still 2nd in chips. So I wonder if he can continue to build that stack and if we'll see him in the last 16 when we stream that event tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Pro Beer's so talented and has so many results. It's not quite the same as when someone that's gone through a huge field or as an amateur busts out. You don't feel that quite as much sympathy. But nonetheless, let's just say, in the 5K last week, he obviously ran Kings into Ramastars Aces to get very unlucky to bust 8. They're losing a flip and then forced all in with King Jack into Kings, busting in 7th. He'll be very, very disappointed. He's an incredibly competitive person, as are all the players on this final, and real tough times for Pro Beers, who nothing really went his way today. And, he'll be back, of course.
Yeah. And I have to say, your prediction's not looking too bad now. Sick1 playing 1.2 million and not the shortest stack at the table. Limitless on 808K at the moment. And Hello Totty with less than 1.2 behind in this part.
And you see Totty just bare 7 of hearts and wrapped around a little bit, or wrapped around the 8, will go for it, stabbing on the flop. And in general, the player in position tends to bet top pair, bottom pair. Middle pair, very, very good for Lars. We can see he does, in fact, have a queen and will attack for that reason.
Oh. Well, chances are it'll be Ace-King that opens the action here. Rui Ferreira, the chip leader, with just shy of 2.8 million. And we've got Ace-10 on the button for Sami Kelapuro. Pocket 10s for Hello Totty in the small blind. The flat from Kelapuro. Totty all in. Victor Malinovsky gets away from the 4s.
Yeah, and Rui gonna call off here, and this is gonna be a big flip for both these guys. Either Rui will have a giant chip lead and will lose Hello Totty, or Hello Totty will double up to near chip lead.
Well, that's pretty decisive, and no 10 on the river means Hello Totty is a goner, out in 7th place. So 2 quick eliminations coming back from break. Pro Beers out in 8th. Hello Totty exits in 7th for nearly $56,500, and Rui Ferreira moves back up over the 4 million mark.
Yeah, I mean, that's an absolutely enormous stack, nearly twice 2nd place chips. Rui really in a commanding position on this final now. And as I said, this is where it will get quite exciting, and it's going to be interesting to see how Pablo 9 fares, because full ring, you're a little bit protected against these guys.
Yeah.
6-handed, he's going to have to come out and play a little bit more. It's going to be a lot more of these blind on blind, late position spots, and going to be exciting to see how the qualifier fares against these kind of beasts.
Well, worst case scenario, Sam, worst case scenario, you're looking at $73,000 on a $109 investment. I'd take that.
Yeah, I mean, it shows the power of a sort of satellite win, if you like, because turning 10,000 into 72,000, 7 buy-ins. Okay, that's absolutely great. You know, we're all really happy with that. However, turning $100 into 720 buy-ins is, you know, life-changing in some way for some people, or certainly changes your poker outlook. And that's really an amazing achievement by Pablo Knight. And let me tell you, this wasn't an easy tournament. Yeah, go ahead, James.
No, I can imagine. I mean, I looked through the lobby this morning at everyone who entered, and I was going to just refer to the lobby right now, Sam, to bring you your favorite part of the evening, where we recap how many bullets is everyone in for. And rather boringly, everyone is in for 10K, with the exception of the chip leader, Rui Ferreira, who's in for 2. So Rui is on his second entry, so invested 20,000 in this. Everyone else 10K.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I saw Timothy was like top 3 in this tournament all the way through, right? Almost from like, actually, I was momentarily chip leader 3 hands in, but apart from that, Timothy was right up there all the way through, never in danger. As I said, class was very short for a lot of the tournament, certainly on the bubble. And
blind v blind, ace-8 versus ace-queen.
yeah, and this is kind of dodgy moment for Lars. This is a semi-cooler on terms of the blind on blind spot. Limitless deciding whether to shove or just raise. Little annoying to shove a hand this good, but Lars Luzak is going to call off now, I think. The shove, oh, he doesn't. Wow. Really interesting. Really, really interesting that he folds the ace-8 there, and so quickly as well. I'm a little bit surprised by that. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's, you know, these guys are so good. There's, although, you know, poker strategy has converged a little bit over the years, and you know, you do see a lot of people play a spot in a standard way. There are still, particularly regarding ICM and final tables, divergent opinions. And Lars feeling that is a hand that he can limp and fold to the jam. Obviously, we can see that's an amazing fold. Doubling up Limitless in position there, getting in absolutely dominated would have been a disaster. And Lars just dodges the bullet somehow. Sammy, I should say. It's always confusing to me that I like Lars Luzak online. Is his, and then his name isn't Lars Luzak. It's like I wonder if Lars Luzak is like, if I ever met him, it doesn't register with me that he's like Sammy, you know.
But it's like Ilari Sahami is. His name is not Siegmund. It's like you'd think that his name would be Siegmund.
Right. Absolutely. I didn't call myself Paul Squid, you know.
Well, today, the new nickname, Sam the Feathered Squid Grafton, has been born.
Absolutely. I mean, give it a little flash. And as I said about Caliporo, I mean, the amazing thing about him is when I started playing seriously in 2009, he was already like a top, like big name, cash game, Omaha player. And, you know, he kind of drifted off the scene and then just came back with an adventure. Don't think he was even really a tournament player back in the day when he was crushing. And then over the last 3 or 4 years, just decided to take up tournaments and has had amazing success and is now essentially a regular. Really sort of like Lex as well. Someone that's almost had a second career. And Lars getting the best of Limitless here. Obviously 2 overs to the 9s. Probably going to stop Victor losing too much. Cruelly outdrawn.
Just to go back to what you were saying, Sam, about the point when you started taking poker seriously in 2009, was that decision based on your financial situation from winnings from poker, a recognition of your own aptitude at the game, or just that you were enjoying it so much that you realized you really wanted to apply yourself to it?
Well, I just did it to get rent to begin with. I played like recreationally, and then I took an internship in right at the end of 2008. Timothy, I think, will fold here, the king 8 off. And I played cash games as a sort of like little I used to work at a nightclub. I'd get my wages from the nightclub and I'd go and play poker with it afterwards. I'd get like £100 cash, go play 1-1. And kind of naively, I now realize, I thought, oh, okay, I can probably pay my rent for this while I do this internship for 2 months. And then when the internship finished, I was just loving it. And I was making a bit of money as well. Limitless flopping a straight flush draw here.
The ace of clubs has been folded. Sorry to rain on your parade.
Brutal. I made a raw flush yesterday, actually. And yeah, so it was kind of, it was out of need that I started playing, and then it began to sort of take over, you know. Also, actually, financially, there was a financial crash around those times, and my internship was just never going to turn into a job. It was quite a tough time to be doing anything else, and I just had a bit of success playing poker and just was kind of loving the game. Loving the game, huge. Really, like, actually, that's beginning bit of your career. I'm sure it's for a lot of people when you first start really falling in love with the game. And Pablo, this is quite nice, I think, for Pablo. We can see it's not gonna, he's not gonna get anywhere versus Limitless's jack of clubs. But recognizing that the 5s is really low in his range here, and just trying to win the hand here and now, I don't think it's too bad. Very hard to follow through on the river. I would love to see him go for it, though. Just jam. What can he even call with Pablo? I don't think it's going to happen. It would be remarkable if he could put Limitless to the test here. He's got all the ace-king off. Oof. And the thing is, I don't think Victor's going to expect this from Pablo. From qualifier. This is quite a sophisticated line. People really struggle to find bluffs on these monotone boards. He does get it through. Really nice play from Pablo.
The respect for Pablo 9X, the qualifier who won his seat for $109.
Yeah, I told you he played pretty well and aggressively yesterday. And that's really, really nice. Recognizing your image, recognizing how you're going to be perceived by your opponents is a key skill in poker. And making a counter adjustment, you know, and Limitless, I don't think would have folded that to, for instance, Timothy. But feels like he can lay it down to Pablo 9. Really, really nice play from Pablo.
We hovering around the 4 million mark, 4.2 million if we're going to be precise. And Limitless is the short stack, right? Victor Malinovsky with just shy of 500K.
Yeah. Yeah, as I said, I think the early part of your career when you're sort of coming up, and it's very, very exciting. And this will be really exciting for Pablo 9. I hope that, you know, despite the stakes, he's finding a way to enjoy this moment. Playing a huge final table against a bunch of absolute sickos, having already locked up, as I said, 720 buy-ins in terms of your, you know, satellite win is a huge achievement. And, you know, from now on, it's sort of a free roll and really exciting for Pablo.
Got a pair of 5s against a wheel draw here.
Yeah,
and Tim betting his draw.
Yeah, interesting. Allowing himself some flexibility if a club comes in to run a bluff. Sometimes just protects the king and gets a fold from, you know, 9-7 of hearts or something like that. Interesting decision to bet in position.
And now trip 5s for sick one. Just king high for Tim 0 Thee. Tim. Be a hero.
Yeah, does lay it down. Maybe considering a raise also. I don't know.
Oh, of course, that would have been catastrophic, but nonetheless under consideration as the blinds go up to 20,000, 40,000.
Yeah, and this really impacts Limitless. You see, he's considering a jam here with the King Jack suited, jam or raise. He's very tricky with this 12 big blind stack, but really makes a difference to Limitless, who's forced to down to just 12 big blinds here. See, we'll get this through and pad his stack a little, but very much in the danger zone. And you can see even Class pulled back down to 25 big blinds. Certainly again in a spot where very often there's going to be a late position raise and you're sort of re-jamming. You know, obviously there's bigger jams now, 30 and 40 big blinds we sometimes see, but certainly 25 big blinds. There's a lot more coolers is how I feel about this stack. You know, there's a lot more, you know, now eights against ace queen, the money goes in, or king queen versus sevens or what have you.
Go to the flop here in this blind v blind situation. Ace high still good. Ace on the turn. Looking good for Rui Ferreira.
Yeah, and Lars,
shot for...
may have to take one off here. King high can be good. Obviously, nice to have a nuttish shot with a queen.
However, the three of spades on the river, no help. And the bet of nearly 135,000.
Lars does beat all bluffs. Would some of the bluffs come from Jack high? Certainly they wouldn't come from King high.
Oh!
Goes for a raise.
Spicy.
Yeah, and this is quite an underbluffed line, I think. Check, back, flop, raise, river. It doesn't rep that much, but for that reason, it seems believable to Rui, and I don't blame him for laying it down. Really nice from Lars Luzak to take that spot. Needs a lot of confidence. Needs to really have a sense of how your opponent is going to perceive you, but does get it through. Very hard to fold someone off of top pair in a blind on blind situation.
Ace five, and Rui Ferreira still chip leader, opening here. Ace four suited for Pablo.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we'll see him take a flop.
BetsG asks, can't players gather information on opponents from past hands through this stream? At the risk of doing a Joe Stapleton, yes. Thank you for your question.
Wow. And we are finding out
Pablo's
a little
got game,
bit.
Sam. Pablo has got game.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. As I said, I battled with this guy quite a lot yesterday. Very nice for Rui to feel, well, I say that, I could be being results oriented. Obviously, we can see that ace-5 is absolutely dominating and ahead here. And so does call the check raise. And Pablo, obviously with this hand, there's like a 3 of spades you want to see on the turn, giving you sort of straight draws and flush draw. With the 8 of hearts, decides to essentially wave the white flag. We can see,
Come on,
of course,
Pablo,
Rui,
bomb the river. Make one of those bets that makes no sense whatsoever.
Don't think he'll do it. Maybe.
Oh, he's done it! He's overbet the pot!
I mean, this doesn't make any sense at all. What
But
hand?
Rui's just got a 5! He's only got a 5!
Wow. I mean, Rui hasn't snap folded, hasn't just seen the... But he does lay it down so low in his range. And Riff... Well, there you go.
Just to go back to the point and to answer that question seriously, yes, 30-minute delay. Anyone playing at this final table in 30 minutes can see the hole cards. They can see the hands. They get information. And I imagine there's a couple of players right now, Victor Malinovsky, Limitless, and Rui Ferreira, Rui NF, who are going to be absolutely shouting at the screen, not realizing that they got bluffed off hands in 2 spots.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very, very brave line from Pablo 9 and gets it done. And 2.5
and this
million...
is where, Sam, sorry to interrupt, but this is where if Pablo is able to utilize that, and now you switch, right? Now it's like, now I'm not going to do that anymore. Now I'm only going to play premiums. Absolutely. I'm only going to play strong hands. I'm going to do the same with nutted hands and try and get value because it's like, oh, he's at it again.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely going to be some leveling involved once this information filters through to these guys. Yeah, really, really interesting. But credit to Pablo 9, bit of creativity, bit of a, and you know, we can see in poker for all the sort of game theory optimal approach, bit of aggression still is very, very hard to combat. I don't think necessarily that line is even that believable to Rui. But, I mean, you've got a 5. There's so many overcards. Very, very hard to make a heroic call there on a big final versus the overbet. Lars isolating with this deuce 10. Has some reasonably good properties. Can fold out dominating 10x on occasion. And you can see why it's so uninviting to limp call in these spots. Both players missing. And Lars is going to isolate some 3x sometimes as well. Similar hands to this. And for that reason, Rui going to lay down the queen high, understandably.
Well, never mind the open with ace-jack. I think we are gearing up here for the sickest and classicest of all races. Ace-king in the small blind, queens in the big blind.
Yeah. Rui, I don't think, can flat this against a short stack. Does seem to be giving it some thought. It's nice to take a flop in position with 8-7 suited. Will be some extra juice in there for Lars.
Nice, dead money.
Think this will be a 3-bet rather than a jam. And Limitless, so far ahead of the ranges, is going to have to put this in, you think, James, right?
Yeah. I think this is going to be pretty much a call all in here from Victor Malinovsky, and then 2 folds, and we will be flipping. And yeah, this is going to be a flip that Queens needs to win.
Yeah, obviously, on final tables, you hate to be sort of calling it off. You'd rather be the one taking the aggressive action. Don't know whether this is a balance. Yeah, it does put it in.
And here we go. Ace-king against queens. Limitless at risk. And there's a king on the flop. And Limitless does not hit a queen on the river. And we get another elimination from this final table. As Sami Kelleporo takes the chip lead. And Limitless, Victor Malinovsky bows out in 6th place, cashing for nearly $73,000, leaving us with our final 5 players.
Yeah,
and that's a ladder for Pablo, the qualifier.
Yeah, absolutely. Up to approaching that 100. Oh, and Klaas puts it in with the ace blocker here.
Oh, wow. And kings are holding. Spade alert. No spade on the river, and that's another KO. Back-to-back hands. Klaas Segerbrecht eliminated by Rui Ferreira, who reclaims the chip lead up to 4.5 million. And Lars Segerbrecht out in 5th place, cashing for nearly $94,000. And Sam, it's now a 6-figure payday guaranteed for the final 4, including Pablo 9.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's really congratulations to Pablo 9. It's really it's a huge achievement to get through this field and make the final table. When you add in the fact that you've had to get through a huge satellite field to even get into the tournament in the first place, this is really a sort of remarkable achievement. And while everyone else is sort of beating 120 player high roller field, Pablo's essentially beaten a normal blowout size field. You know, he's beaten thousands of runners for the satellite and then 100 elite players. And in that way, it's a real achievement. Rui rivering a straight here and uses the block sizing to tempt Pablo into or call or induce a raise. Pablo, I don't think can call here. Can only be considering a bluff raise. I think that's one of the purposes of this sizing from Rui. Does induce a little bit of spew from Pablo 9 here. Obviously, we've praised that aggressive nature up to this point. Here, little bit of a misstep and costs him 300,000 chips. Just a flesh wound,
Rui,
of course.
Now up over 5 million. One thing I want to quickly highlight, I know, obviously, Sam, that you had a feeling that Lars Segerbrecht could potentially win this thing. Actually went out in 5th place, but considering that, as you said, was a short stack on the bubble with 16 players remaining, scraped a seat at the final table with a 9 big blind stack coming into the day, to ladder up to 5th place is no small task.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Klaas just felt like he was the shortest stack at that point. As we've talked about, there's a bit less ICM pressure on you when you are the bottom stack. And Rui, you know, near chip leader, has been opening wide at this final table, just took the ace blocker and rejammed, and of course could have got there, you know. But yeah, very impressive performance, as we expect from Lars Segerbrecht.
Rui opens with ace jack. And yeah, just to highlight what you were saying before, Sam, here obviously Pablo with top pair, Rui with the flush draw. Now we're four-handed. Now there really is nowhere for anyone to hide.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be very exciting.
Oh,
what
a
a turn card.
2 pair for Pablo, the nut flush for Rui.
I think you're not supposed to bet super big here when the flush comes in. And Rui does stick to kind of GTO principles. And Pablo, I hope, doesn't overvalue the Queen 6 hit. Just check calls. And that's a great card for Pablo on the river. He'll be cursing another spade coming off. But we can see it's potentially going to save him. Rui now, I think, can go very big because obviously just snap lays down the Queen 6 suited. Good fold against Rui's actual hand. And we haven't seen much from Timothy, right? He came in as chip leader or second in chips and just sort of kept his nose clean, stayed out of the way. I mean, that's obviously just a product of sort of card distribution. You can see how sometimes it's better to not even, you know, sort of get hands, avoid callers. You know, we've seen him battle a little bit blind on blind. Here he is four-handed. Obviously, a little hamstrung by opening into the 2 big stacks. Having Rui on his left, it's meant not been less opportunities to steal or open particularly wide. Lars turning top pair. Timothy with the ace of diamonds blocker. Doesn't start bluffing. Does have a low end of the gut shot with the 7.
Tim, who is the shortest stack of the remaining 4 players. 1.1 million. Lines 2040 for another 13 minutes, and then we go to 2550.
And Rui and Lars very deep against each other. Sort of a 2-tiered final table at the moment. Timothy and Pablo having, you know, they're not hamstrung exactly, but going to be opening into these covering stacks who can 3-bet them and pressurize them. Particularly Pablo, going to have to stay reasonably in line. And then Rui and Lars going to be battling a bit more, very deep. Got to be sort of cautious against each other to some extent. Certainly Lars can't afford to get it in against Rui, but has position. You'd expect to be sort of flatting a lot. Lars
Queen
rivering
on the river.
best. Yeah. Rui blocker bets the 6. Trying to get called by a king high or a 4. We'll just see Lars call here. Don't think you can raise and open yourself up in that manner. Quite an ambitious value bet from Rui. Although it was the best hand until that queen came off the river. Yeah. Yeah.
Gets the raise.
Yeah, not too unexpected. Lars supposed to pressurize the shorter stack here with a lot of raises from the small blind. And
we've got the 2 shorter stacks here in the blind. 6s for Pablo, ace-9 suited for Tim Adams.
yeah, and Pablo limping to limp shove, I would imagine. What will Timothy do with ace-9 of clubs? Feels a little too good to check.
Wow.
And
Raise
now,
from Tim, the shove from Pablo, and this is all into call for Tim, right?
yeah, really horrible spot. Tim would rather just have a bit better hand or a bit worse hand. This is going to be right on the cusp.
Whoa, we're off to the races. King, king, 8. Queen on the turn, and a queen on the river, and Pablo gets counterfeited. 6 is no good. Queens and 8s with the ace kicker for Tim Adams, who doubles up to 2.2, leaving Pablo short with less than 700K.
Yeah, very, very cruel river for Pablo 9. And in terms of the outcome of this blowout series, that is a very, very crux moment in this final table. Either we would have had 3-handed with the amateur I shouldn't say amateur, I don't know, with the satellite qualifier in the mix, and losing essentially one of the world's very, very best players, which would have been, believe me, a big boon to Rui and Lars. Instead, Tim Adams very, very much still in contention to take down this high roller title, and it's Pablo 9 who's left very, very short.
And this is top pair for Rui. Betting 98 into 300. Tim calls.
Yeah, Tim feeling like he can still make the nuts on a 10. And sometimes Rui's going to have a sort of 3-7 offsuit type holding or some such hand where ace high is still good. Obviously, looks a bit odd when we see Rui has the top pair. Seems a bit loose, but I think it does make sense. And very confident from Rui, going for value again on the turn with a big sizing. Really nice to force out this 16% equity. And Tim will let it go. Of course, there was a lot of queen 10s, jack 10s, queen 9s, and the like that can still get there as well. So that's why Rui was value betting.
Tell you there are now fewer than 2,000 players in the $530 big blowout. Pro Beers, Andres Namath, still a top 10 stack. They are playing down to 16 tonight, final 2 tables, and we'll stream the final day of that one tomorrow. Meanwhile, blind v blind, the 2 big stacks.
Yeah, let's go for it, Rui, here. Let's go with some big bets on the turn here, mate. There we go. Put him under the cosh, Rui. I love it. Love it. And Lars might suspect foul play here. Very tough with ace-9 to call again. And I think we could say, you know, Rui played this chip lead very, very well. Again, against top players, of course, card distribution makes a big impact. You know, not like you can just fully outplay Tim and Pro Beers and guys like this, but Rui putting together a very composed final table performance. Also, so important to not get rattled. Made that slight misstep, perhaps, arguably, against the actual hand with Jack-10 suited, but didn't break his stride after that.
So obviously we're seeing Rui extend his chip lead here, Sam, and close in on the 6 million mark. Serious question, does Rui want to keep Pablo in the game right now? Does it work to his advantage to be able to kind of like chip away at Tim and Sammy Kelapuro, knowing that there's a guy who's got like 12 bigs?
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to pass a plus EV spot against Pablo, but you know, in terms of an all-in or something, but certainly it's a great spot to be. We just saw Tim fold 9-8 suit, 9-8 offsuit against a button open, and you know that's in response to the fact that Pablo is a sort of extreme short stack and he can't cool down as comfortably. Here, you know, limping the ace-jack, playing defensively with a check on the flop. Everyone else has to play a little bit more cautiously, fold a little bit more pre-flop, play a bit more check heavy on flops and a little bit less hero calling on river. And all that works towards the advantage of the chip leader. And Rui, so experienced, is going to know how to take advantage of that. Fortunately for Rui, no heart on the river.
Both drawing to a flush. Rui with a no good flush draw, and Tim's top pair still good. Tim value bets 141 into 180.
Yeah, and Rui considering a raise here, perhaps? I don't know. I don't think the 4 diamonds going to be a good card to have with the hero calling. Does fold. Wow, can Timothy find a fold with 6-7 suited? It's agonizing. No, he can't. That's right, Tim. Come on, don't bow to ICM too much. That's nearly as bad as the 10-9 suited. He can still open the 7 high occasionally. Lars will defend.
Pair of 6s.
Yeah, exactly. Nice flop for Timothy with Lars not making anything. You see, when you're the covering stack, you can play quite close to chips, sort of defend a normal range. When you're the middle stack or the bottom stack, well, particularly the middle stack, you have to just tighten up that much. Again, playing a bit more check heavy. I mean, Tim will know the spot very well. Maybe it would have checked it anyway, but checking the flop a little bit more, avoiding getting check raised, keeping pots small. This is how the middle stack is forced to play with so much risk premium. Rui, go on. Come on, mate. Open the 2-5. I'll tell you what, if we weren't streaming that, Rui would have a cheeky little raise there, I think. Come on, mate. Polarized poker. Polarized with the deuce 5. Lars will limp.
What are you doing calling it a deuce 5?
Why? What am I supposed to say? 5 deuce.
Yeah, I mean, you go high to low, right?
Yeah. Say what you can see. It's 2-5 in my thing, but yeah, you're right. You're right.
Well, this
better.
is pretty good for
Is that in
Pablo
the-
because always coming 7.
Is that in the like stars? Is my stars contract? I've got it. You know, what do they call it? Like the house style is like here at PokerStars, we pronounce high to low.
Dude,
you know, you must groom
don't
your
have a
beard
house
before
style.
you want.
We just make it up as we go along. By the way, Sammy has caught a little piece of this on the river, pairing his jack. Bets 40,000. Pablo gets the raise in 200K.
And this is what you were talking about, James. He's played creatively, made some bluffs, and here he's taken the 7 and taken an unorthodox line, raising the river in a way that doesn't seem to make much sense. And fair play to Sammy Caliparo, doesn't fall for it, not tempted to make the hero call, which we could see was an absolute disaster against Pablo's holding. Doesn't get leveled.
Has your WCOOP trophy arrived yet?
No, I don't have it. Mate,
Let's put it on
it
my
would be
list of things to
displayed
chase.
prominently. Believe me.
I figured it would be by now, right? And I just kind of, I'm not trolling you about this, by the way. Number one, you definitely want a trophy. Number two, I've no idea where it is. And number three, I'm asking because I want to see it, not because I think it's hilarious that you still haven't received it.
No, yeah, I definitely want it. All I've got, the only trophy I've got out of storage is my Brisbane Australian Poker Tour $400 six-pack trophy, which is, yeah, plastic. So, to be honest, I will say this. I'm not just saying this because I'm on the thing. PokerStars trophies are pretty nice. They've always been amongst the nicest. Pablo, here we go, 10-9 suited. This is how you do it, boys. You just pump it in. There we go. Love that from Pablo.
Pablo knows you're on the stream, and Pablo knows that he has to play by the Grafton rule.
Great play, Pablo. Love it. Where's Pablo 9 from?
Pablo 9 is playing from Brazil. So we've got... No, sorry, Pablo 9's from Brazil. Pablo 9's playing from Germany. It's Rui, of course, who's in Brazil. Tim Adams from Canada, we know, now living in Finland. And Sami Caliparo is himself Finnish.
Yeah, Tim loves to brag to me about how he hangs out with all the Finnish regs. He's always telling me that he's just played. He loves talking about Juha Helpi. He's always showing off like, I had dinner with Juha Helpi, or I played, whatever they do. I went to the sauna with Tommy Brook or whatever. He loves mixing it up with the Finnish guys. I wonder if he hangs out with Caliparo.
Yeah.
And a little bit annoying and dicey spot for Rui here. Just the one overcard. Lars will want to protect, but on the other hand, should be playing quite a lot of checks against the bigger stack. And therefore does check it back. This is what I was saying. Under ICM, against a covering stack, you just have to play a much more check-heavy strategy. And Rui, very low in his range. Does beat all the suited aces, of course, so for that reason won't bluff. And Lars Luzak takes it down.
Okay, I'm interested in this blind v blind confrontation. King Jack suited for Tim Adams. Pocket tens for chip leader Rui Ferreira.
And here you see the advantage of playing a limp-only strategy against the covering stack. Normally, might want to raise this hand, and now you'd be facing a 3-bet. Whereas now I think we'll see Tim, I presume, just limp and call. We'll balance his timings here, which I like a lot. A lot of the players you see act very, very quickly. I think it is important to not give away any extra information. And Rui will go for a little bit of protection with the pocket tens against Queen X, Jack X. But we can see he's in bad shape unless a 10 comes off. Very
Pablo
frustrating.
Has folded a 10. So Rui is drawing to one card in the deck.
Yes, bad times indeed. Also, you kind of block Tim's floats. You want him to have a queen 10, a jack 10, which you can fold on the turn. Timothy going to feel like the king is pretty strong, but does lose to some ace X low and won't go for value for that reason. And I imagine Rui going to have other hands he can turn into a bluff here. So we'll check down just a modicum of showdown value against the queen jack type hand. I speak about it often, but you know, four-handed and a lot of poker, you know, at the higher stakes, very attritional. So many pots like that of limp, call, bet, call, check, check. Very, very tough, but so important to get right. You know, we obviously are excited by the big bluffs, the big raises, the hero calls, but a lot of poker, a lot of what these guys do better than I do, or better than a lesser tier player does, is get those sort of spots right again and again. Tim,
well, this is another interesting confrontation between these two guys, right? The kings against the ace-9 this time.
Yeah, and Rui will raise for value here, essentially. The limp re-raise will be a small one if it comes. Does make it 5-6-6, a little bit bigger than I expected. And Rui in a weird spot. We've seen him raise some real junk, and obviously there are clear, strong hands. Ace-9 off, very unusual. Very tough to play. Tim repping his value range going to be very, very strong holdings, which the ace does block, of course, and does take a flop.
Looks like Tim's mojo is back. Top set.
Well, we can see, this is how he does it, Timothy. Could have been a tough spot against the chip leader out of position, couldn't it? Rui with the, I think with the ace of hearts, we'd always see Rui NF continue here. 9 of hearts, though. Getting a very, very good price. Does make the correct fold.
So interesting
Timothy,
dynamic right now, because Tim's got close to 3 million, Sam. Sammy Kellepero has around 3 million, so they're pretty much tied for second right now. Rui with 5 million, and then Pablo down to
and
12 bigs.
And obviously, again, a big part of it's been card distribution. Tim's got kings, king jack suited and the like. But credit to him, he's got a very, very tough seat opening into the 2 covering stacks. And yet he's managed to chip up significantly. And the nice thing about having 60 big blinds is you can really hurt Rui now. You can really, obviously, you essentially have the same stack as Lars. So it's a bit tougher for them to push you around. Bit tougher for them to pressurize you.
Raceland asks, wondering if Joe found his hot dog by now. Joe, how are you getting on with your hot dog search? We got one. You get that sausage inside you, big boy, and you be back here in 10.
Timothy, the only one with the club. Rui with top pair. Again, a lot of these hands going to be suited. Really dampens the aggression on these monotone boards. Like we see Lars Luzak with a jack 10 suited, but fair play to Rui. Feels like can, with the backup of the 10, bet the king queen for protection. And good job he did. Forces out Timothy with the only club. Really nice from Rui. I think a lot of players, myself perhaps, would have checked there. And now heads up in position against the inferior hand. Don't think it's Lars' style to bluff here. can be a 9-10, a 9-8, but does go for it. Really nice from Kelaporo. What, I wasn't expecting this, but we can see it does make a lot of sense. How many worse hands do you have than Jack 10 here? Not many. And Rui going to have ace queen, king queen, queen 10, that beat you. And Rui now considering things. What will he do? Can he find a big hero call? No, he can't. It's quite interesting because we see the hand Lars has, and with the queen, jack, and 9 of clubs all out there, very hard to determine what club Luzak actually has. Has to have sort of flopped the nut flush and not check raised it. Not many offsuit club hands there. Really interesting. Rui couldn't decide for the puzzle. And all in from Pablo.
Tim Adams with the snowmans.
No.
And Rui in the big blind with pocket 5s.
Yeah, and I think this is a genuine tank from Tim. Does make a fold. Can't open himself up.
Is Sammy priced in here? Does he have to call?
No, not under ICM. I think this would be a pretty bad call against Pablo. I presume. I guess it's a genuine tank. It's not quite. Oh, he does call. I'm really shocked at that.
Oh,
the queen.
The queen. And no Barry Greenstein, no ace on the river, and the qualifier's journey is over. Pablo 9X from Germany, in for $109, won his seat to this 10K for that amount, and cashes out for a 6-figure score, $121,314. And now we have the final 3, and they are deep, Sam.
Yeah, and deserves, as you've said, huge congratulations. We've almost going to have 2 winners here in this Blowout Series 10K. You know, the actual winner who'll be crowned champion of this very, very prestigious small field tournament. We've also got Pablo 9, who's done something absolutely remarkable in generating a huge 120K score from a mere $100 and put on, you know, battled hard, you know, lost a crucial flip against Tim Adams, cruelly outdrawn on the river, or could have gone on to even greater things, and they're outdrawn by the Queen 7. So, you know, big congratulations to Pablo 9. And now we're left with a situation of 3 top, experienced, high-stakes players, no talk of a deal, ready to battle it out for the big money. And 110K difference here between third and first. You know, you've gone through this field in order to give yourself an opportunity here. If you can have an edge, you know, you're making an amazing hourly if you have an edge on your opponent's 3-handed here. And it's going to be interesting to see these guys fight it out.
So button raise from Rui. Tim Adams now the short stack, or shortest stack, I should say. Calls with 6 in, what a flop for the chip leader.
We might see Tim continue here with a club in hand. Obviously, a 6 is a very nutty out, which makes it quite nice hand to defend with.
Oh, just improve to a full house, why don't you?
Oh, this is good for Tim, though. He's got a 4 flush now to go with the 6.
Which would be a disaster if he decided to suddenly punt with a 6-high flush draw.
Yeah, and
drawing
Rui,
stone cold dead.
Yeah, Rui understandably betting again, hoping Tim has a hand like Queen Jack with a club that might be forced into continuing. Obviously, ideally, Tim would have a king himself or have made a flush. And Tim calls again. Really interesting the way this super high stakes player plays the pocket 6s here. I did suspect he'd get stubborn on the flop, but very determined turn call, drawing stone dead. And Rui gonna line up a big bet here. hoping Tim has a flush. Obviously, you rep kind of narrow to be able to bet 3 streets. You can't bet an ace like that, let's remember. So the ace is irrelevant as an overcard. Can't bet a 9 like this. There's all those queen 10s, jack 10s, and Tim will eventually find the fold.
So we hit the second break of this final table with 3 players remaining, and it is Rui Ferreira who goes into the break with the chip lead, a stack of nearly 5.5 million. And we've talked about this player's pedigree. Rui NF has won T-Coop, SCOOP and WCOOP titles, and as previously referenced, was the player of the series in the 2020 Spring Championship of Online Poker. More than 100 cashes and 9 final tables. Won a SCOOP title in 2018. Sorry, 4th place finish in a SCOOP in 2018. Single biggest score of more than 250,000 and live earnings of 1.2 million. Well, pleased to welcome Griffin Benja back to the PokerStars arena. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is Griff-Graph time on the stream. Hello, Griff.
Thanks for having me, guys. I missed you guys. This week-long thing, it's too long. It's been good. What did I get up to? Yeah, well, the NHL is coming back. So we actually have a curfew now here in Montreal. At 8 p.m., we're not allowed leaving the house, so that's a new thing.
Oh, that must be tough. That's really curfew. Oh, you guys.
The great endorsement can't leave. But the NHL is coming back in a couple days, so I'm excited to just buckle down here, watch some hockey. Yeah, be good.
Sam, what sports, if any, do you follow?
Yeah, I watch the footy. Yeah, I mean, I played rugby for a long time. I was a really good rugby player when I was younger, but I don't.
Really?
That's true.
How do I not know about this? This is an amazing hashtag fun fact. Sam Grafton was a rugby player.
Yeah, I played for my county. We all played, and my dad played till he was like 62. But I don't follow rugby. I used to follow it, but I don't really follow it now. But yeah, I watch the football. But yeah, I'm not a like massive sports bro, but I can live with it. I'm not like the rest of the UK players, Craig McCorkle, Toby Lewis, just going to watch, just popping over to Atlanta to watch the Panthers every now and again as if it's no big deal. Like and I'm not like Griff, like staying up till 3 a.m. to watch the Blue Jays no matter where they are. Actually, I was watching University Challenge and there was a question. And the answer was Blue Jays, and I got it. I got it, Griff. I knew a little homage to you, a little callback to the nights in Malta, staying up till 3 a.m. to watch them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wanted to ask Sam. I know you have a bit of a tough streak with words. Like you'll get into some good debates, but did you have a tough streak in rugby?
Yeah, I had 3 lungs, mate. I was a hard worker, like the grinder I am with poker. I was up and down the field. I compensated for my lack of skill and dexterity by just being like a hard worker. Also, I could shout at the. I could be at the bottom of a ruck and still shout at the centers or like the fullback or whatever. Yeah, I had the voice to command everyone on the field.
That makes sense.
Incredible. So while Sam played real sports, Griffin, we know that you were an athlete when it came to esports back in the day, but what are you currently playing? Are you still grinding your way through Cyberpunk, or have any other games grabbed your attention recently?
I've put it aside a little bit lately. I've actually, I think I mentioned this last week, I'm trying to, and Sam, you'll appreciate this, I'm trying to get into reading. I've set a reading goal for myself, my New Year's resolution. So I haven't been gaming as much lately. I'm trying to read 2 books a month. So that's my game right now.
I love how you say reading as if it's like another like platform. It's like there's gaming and there's this other. It's a newer invention that's emerged since gaming.
Yeah,
it's like gaming but on paper. It's called reading. I believe the kids are calling it.
They actually used to do it like hundreds of years ago, and I'm trying to bring it back.
I tell you what, I can say this with some certainty that the books that Griffin are reading have to be choose-your-own-adventure stories. As we check on the stacks of the 3 players remaining at this final table, Rui Ferreira, more than 100 bigs, Sammy Kellepero, more than 80 bigs, and Tim Adams around 50 bigs, playing for a first prize tonight of more than $260,000. We continue the action at the final table. Commentary from Mr. Grafton, Mr. Benja, and Mr. Joseph Stapleton.
Hello, my babies. Most of this prize money still up for grabs. The Dream Team, of course, with James pulling the strings in the background. Three-handed here in this high roller. 2 books a month.
James.
Griffin, this was the trick. Call of the Wild is like 110 pages, if you ever need.
Nice. Actually, the book I'm reading right now is 1,300 pages, so that's tough.
What are you reading, The Stand?
No, it's the Way of the King, or was it The Way of the King? Yeah, The Way of Kings. It's a fantasy book.
Well, 1,300 pages. Maybe want to start with the front cover next time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree, Joe. If you want to get if you want to post that you've read like 60 books a year, that's how you do it. You get Heart of Darkness.
Yeah.
You get like The Outsider, Animal Farm, Of Mice and Men. You just hit up the novellas one by one, and then you just
150 pages tops.
Yeah,
That's why I didn't put a lofty goal. I said 2 books a month because I know a lot of them are going to be 500 plus pages. Got a lot of
I have an autographed copy of the Bible. Do you guys think that's worth anything?
Hopefully less and less as time goes by.
Queen High. Weenie.
Oh. Well, I think we're gonna show this down hand. I'm on it. I'm keeping an eye out. In the corner of my eye, I can see.
Yeah,
I know when it's.
Sam's always working. Don't worry. We can riff, and he's got an eye on the action. He's the real pro.
Just to reset the stakes real quick. Three-handed. Everyone now guaranteed $156,000, $260,000 to the winner. Chip leader.
Absolutely big.
Action flop here, considering so few hands being dealt.
Yeah, Lars not going anywhere.
Belly buster for Lars Luzak.
Wow, action turn. Let's go.
Action turn.
Very dynamic Lars with a two-way straight draw, double belly buster, as I think we're calling it again these days.
That's right.
I love that that's coming back.
This is real confidence from Rui to understand the value of the 2-pair here. Lars trapped into calling this big bet with the draw. And now the decision on the river for Rui. Hard to go big again with this particular holding. Feels like you're sort of over-repping.
Yeah, I was going to say...
I stand corrected. Yeah.
I was going to say, do you like maybe a big bet here because you sort of... I mean, setting the price, I guess, isn't fair if you're going that big, because if Lars was checked to and had a flush, you would probably bet, as much as that. I was just saying, when you bet big enough there, you're probably not going to get raised by a small flush if he has it, right?
Yeah, but then you sort of but if you don't get called by a bear queen, then that's a problem as well.
Whoa, guys, calm down. Keep it civil. It's just, it's a disagreement. We don't have to attack each other for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't even remember whether it was a raised pot or a limp pot, which is also going to affect things.
It was a raised pot. And,
it was a raised pot.
Hypothetically, all this 1,300-page book.
Yeah, so Lars can have ace 8.
Yeah. Well, ace 8's beating queen 8 too. I'm saying, but he can also have, like, let's just say ace jack, jack of diamonds or something, would have just called pre-flop with the stacks, and then might have called $1 million on million chips on the river.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like what I'm saying is you can be beat by 2 pairs, but also you're absolutely right. It's quite good to have the middle 2 pair and always very, very often get called by the ace. It's quite nice to have the queen and 8 and unblock the ace, and then maybe put the ace 8 or ace queen into a smaller sizing. Rui certainly super confident, super strong poker player there, and he'll if he's betting that size, I'm sure that's a really good size to bet. I'm just a little unsure myself. It's always tough. So much so much better when you're watching the $100 tournaments. You feel like you can speak with a bit more authority. Obviously, we are watching 3 of the world's strongest poker players here, and very, very tough. And what a squeeze spot from Lars.
Just long pause. Yeah.
Lars Luzak, just like my own dad saying, there will be no family pot here. I don't want to be a part of this.
And ace queen certainly would be too strong here, and Timothy would be shoving ace jack. It's not a slam dunk, but you expect him to still put it in here, Sam? Expecting some weak squeezes?
I think that he will call. I'm not certain, though. I mean, certainly if you know Lars is doing it this way, I think the 10 and 8 block is a little bit weird, given that Tim starts opening 8x off, and Rui's flats are going to have an 8 or 10 in them very, very often. Little bit of a weird choice of hand, in my opinion. And actually, Tim lays it down, which shows the power of this squeeze. Doesn't feel like he can jam an ace jack. Would prefer to have a suited wheel ace or some such holding. Feels like the jack blocks the squeeze folds. I mean, really, really remarkable. And credit to Lars Luzak for taking a spot that I think many others wouldn't, many other players wouldn't. And
it looks strong, Sam, I gotta say.
At the very least, a spot that would be criticized if a lesser player did it.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. You always, these are the kind of players who've won that much money. You always have to insert any caveat.
You just figure out why it's right.
Yeah. Let's talk about Timothy. Absolutely beaten up. Folded the ace jack off. I think finally this guy has been exposed for the fraud that he is. We saw him play a set well earlier and a flush quite well, but just absolutely beaten up. All you got to do is take your offsuit 10-8, 3-bet Timothy, and he'll lay it down. You know, I mean, imagine if you had as much money as Timothy. I wouldn't be folding anything, mate. It would be in your eye every single time.
And got a great question. You would not have as much money as Timothy.
Great question on Twitch, guys. From Shill, why did he fold ace jack versus 10-8? And the answer is because he didn't know he had 10-8, but you did.
Thank you for your question. Yeah, let's go back to the old days of commentary. Remember when commentary was just like, if they made the right fold against the actual hand, you were like, great fold. And if they make the wrong fold against the hand, you're like, terrible play. What's he doing? This is absolute rubbish. Like, if anyone gets... Oh, no, you're right, Joe. Let's stick to that. We'll just announce the cards, and then, like, Rui should clearly raise here. Jack 6. What a bad fold from Rui and F. What's he doing?
Sam is a bit of a historian when it comes to commentary, and he tracks the trends and all these things. I remember when we worked together in Malta, he would say, "Don't predict the action. That's not in style. We're not predicting the action. Don't do that."
I actually was going to suggest that you guys don't always have to predict what's going to happen, but only really have to explain what has happened when it happens.
Yeah.
That's the Stapes way.
Yeah. You know what
that I can somewhat get behind.
What I did for my only preparation for our multi-commentary Griff was, do you remember I found online, or my brother found on Reddit, they had 7 pages of the WWF or WWE commentary outline that they used to send to everyone. And I got it and I read through it and like took loads of hints from it. That's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. It was really, really good.
I went to sports broadcasting school for 2 years to hone my craft, and you read a WWF hand guide?
How many years to actually get the degree?
2? What?
Okay, sorry. You said you went for 2 years. You didn't specify you finished.
Oh, no. It was a 2-year program, yeah.
Okay, got it. Maybe it should have been, 3 or 4.
Yeah, maybe.
Ace high flop, queen's cracked.
No, I was needed in the field, Joe. The GPL needed me.
They called him up early.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a particularly bad card for Lars Luzak. Obviously, going to be less likely Rui has an ace now, and Lars going to feel way, way more confident about the pocket queens. Very easy to get value from 10x and 5x now.
Do you think that Rui's would ever entertain raising an ace against that size, since it looks so much like what Lars has, or maybe a strong 10 to check back river?
Yeah, perhaps good. I mean, certainly very annoying that the kings come off. This might stop Lars value betting the river now, in case Rui check called a hand like King Jack. Very unfortunate. I think he would have value bet a brick. Does go for it here with the queens, really putting Rui on a 10-8, 10-9, something like that. That might be tempted to pay it off.
And Rui makes the call, up over 6.5 million now.
I quite like Rui. I was on a table with him a couple times and had some nice chats with him. Real nice guy.
You're talking chat box chats or voice chats?
No, like at back when we used to play poker tournaments in real life, right beside each other. Yeah, I think it might have even been an EPT or PCA, breathing each other's air, swapping in like a side event. I was very flattered. I had to ask, of course, but couldn't say no after we talked about our respective lives. This is kind of how I get them.
Yeah, you spoke about your girlfriend and the rent you have to pay and how you're helping out your cousin with his tuition fees, and suddenly then you hit him up for the spot.
And if things get too dire, I just send her in to actually ask for me.
Well, your boy Rui just made it straight.
He did.
Wow, what a
continues to make a bigger straight.
Check. Weird hand for Timothy. I mean, if ever two pair sort of shriveled in value, look at this board. It's versus a button open, we should remember. So Rui going to have plenty of unpaired holdings. Timothy electing to play the King 9 here as a bluff catcher. And what does he do against this sizing? Will pay.
That's what he does. And Rui running away at the moment, over 7 million now.
I have
ruining away.
I have to second what Griffin said there. Rui is such a sweetheart. Very, very nice guy at the tables. Very like down to earth guy, it seems. It's actually very frustrating, don't you agree, Griffin, how nice so many of these high rollers are?
Yes.
Yes. I'd much prefer to be anti-railing these guys, just be like hating Rui, like for him to be spoiled and overprivileged and arrogant. It's just how can they be nice guys as well? It's very frustrating.
I'm not going to ask you to name names.
When Griffin was number one,
but is there anyone in this class of players that we routinely see at these 5 and 10K final tables who's just a dick?
Steven Chidwick. He's a monster.
Okay, name names then.
Yeah, I was going to say, when Griffin was top dog with his little crew, everyone hated them. They were really obnoxious and annoying and loud and boastful and
then he checked his privilege.
And we fizzled out.
Take it for Lars there. Tim Adams, Queen 10 in the small.
Yeah, just balancing his timings before. Oh, he coming in for a raise. Interesting.
7-7-5. Queen high, the best hand. Tim with the betting lead continues.
Yeah, and Tim evidently feels that now as the shortest stack, there's a little less pressure on him. Before, when he was the middle stack, playing a limp-only strategy, now he feels there is a broader range of hands that he can get in, that as the shortest stack, Rui can't apply as much pressure to him, and now changing up the blind-on-blind strategy. So interesting to see the recalibrations like a world-class player that Tim makes
Sam,
in this sort of situation.
I know we don't like to predict, but predict what Rui's going to do here. Okay, never mind. It's too late.
Cool.
Actually, I have a question.
I'm curious about this spot here. I mean, it's 35 effective. I guess call plays best. But, you know, if Timothy had like 23 bigs, do you think he would just 3-bet call? Because he's getting a lot of folds when he's 3-betting.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I think the problem is Tim will still flat off short stacks, and obviously threes plays horribly. You have to kind of develop a sort of bespoke, larger sizing where you don't commit to Lars, but you stop Tim peeling. And that can be problematic when you're playing against the same group of players so regularly, I guess. Here, Rui feels like this board really hits him with the Jack 10s, Queen Jacks, you know, maybe even like 10-9. Timothy, though, does have a piece.
Oh. Bad card for Rui.
Yeah, Rui doesn't block Queen 10.
Yeah.
Ruins his hand.
Or Ace 10.
Rui might have gone for it on a different river, too.
Tim should
still does.
Back here. That's a full pot bet. And Tim back up over $2.5 million now after making that call.
Yeah, very unfortunate run out for Rui. And, you know, that's a big swing. Puts Tim back to 50 big blinds.
I like how you say it's an unfortunate run out. It's simply in that Tim could fold the best hand. Like Tim was winning from the flop onward.
Well, yes. It's unfortunate run out that with 3 high, you're forced to bluff. Like on a brick river, you beat 9-10 and Queen 10 and Ace 10 and clubs and such like. When you get the counterfeit, your lowest pocket pair,
bottom of your range, yeah.
Yeah, I think very, very frequently, perhaps you should roll it at some frequency, but very frequently it's going to be a bluff. Certainly it's quite hard unblocking all the draws to not go for it there. You're certainly going to have some kings in your range.
I will say that the Twitch chat has been ever since we brought up the, you know, who's the not likable guys. Not a lot of people chiming in. I feel like we have a pretty likable community. I mean, one guy said, I don't like Deep Peters for not placing his cards properly on the card reader, and then came back right after and be like, oh, I'm confused. That wasn't even Deep Peters. I like him. It was some other guy. It's the best they could come up with. Not Deep Peters.
The only person I know who like routinely missed the card reader at the beginning was Seidel.
Yeah, he's favorite for it. Tim considering going for value here with the 10% targeting an 8x, 7x. These guys have a really sophisticated river bet sizing strategy so that he can pick this really small sizing.
Sometimes I see bets like that from Tim, and I'm just like, you show off that you have these gears, you know? Because you don't really see a lot of other players do it. It's like, oh, yeah, he studied more than everyone else.
Gears. Another gun raise here from Lars Luzak, King 6 suited.
Wow.
Also, Broccoli
wants the Ace Jack revenge. It's been half an hour. Oh, he folded.
Ace King tray is the flop. Two quick checks.
Yeah, a snap check from Luzak. I'm always surprised these guys act so quickly. And I think and Rui will bet. It's, of course, a very good board for the pre-flop raiser, but we'll bet with the strong draw.
And Lars Luzak's Kings will be good at showdown.
Is that a tough card for Rui to bluff at because he doesn't have, you know, any nines and Lars does?
Well, yeah, I don't think Lars is going to have so many bluffs, but the Ace 3 and King 3 get counterfeited, and that's where a lot of your value is coming from, right? You have Ace 3 off at full combinations, and you can't value bet that now. So now you're relying on King 9. You've got to have a boat, an Ace 9 or King 9, which is kind of tough. Also, having the spades is probably good to give up with. But again, that would be my sense on it. Sense of it. So
And you can see now Timothy limping the ace-8 after raising with the queen-10 when he had less chips. So it kind of speaks to what Sam was talking about. Now that Tim is closer to Lars Luzak's stack, not going to use a raising strategy as much blind on blind, Sam?
Yeah, that does make sense. We'll see. Might just be that the ace-8 falls into the limping range. But yeah, that seems to be my take on what Tim was doing, extrapolating from that raise anyway. And Rui...
Tim started with the best hand, flops the best hand.
Yeah. Ace-8 looking very strong on this board.
I know this is an interesting hand, but I'm really liking some of these responses in the chat, following up on the disliking. One, Deng Fed Mama dislikes Alex Foxen because he has too much going for him. And then also, Deng Fed Mama, I don't like Rubinovich. He looks like my bully in high school.
Turns out it's actually his bully from high school.
It's actually him, yeah.
Yeah.
The chat
Timothy raising
trauma.
top pair, top kicker.
Yeah. This is the place of healing. Just let it all out. We got you.
What about you, Joe? Is there commentators that secretly you hate? Is it like, oh no, I can't work with that. Cara Scott. God, I hate it. She's so horrible behind the
Wouldn't
scenes.
it be crazy if my answer was hard again and I had to work with him every day? Wouldn't that be weird?
Like Sisyphus.
Lars Luzak turns the straight, turns the belly buster. Belly busted.
Yes.
And in terms of just the way the hands are running out, things going against Rui a little bit here. Lars does raise.
Now, we got the 4 deuce raise from Rui.
Yeah, really taking advantage of the chip lead to open the 4 deuce suited.
All right, look at this.
Yeah, quite a nice board here
Couple
for
of
Rui to continue.
strawberries out there and an easily bluffable board for pocket threes. It's got to have some of that.
Tim,
we did see
see
Timothy get stubborn with the pocket. Oh, Sam, jinx, with the pocket sixes earlier on the ace, king, king. But this is a bit different for him. Decides to let it go without that backdoor flush draw.
Yeah, the 3 of hearts, as we
draw.
could see with Rui's actual hand, is a little bit of a problem. Whereas on the paired board, it's very, very nutty.
3 playable hands here.
Suited. Timothy, Jack 10 not suited for Rui.
Yeah, we saw Luzak squeeze the 10-8 in a similar spot. Ace-4 is the sort of hand that makes a bit more sense. Of course, you can't be doing it with every offsuit ace, but might go for it again. Would pressurize Timothy, and Rui quite capped. Does put in, look at the big sizing. And Timothy
timing.
with...
Let's get on
Jack
with it.
10.
Just blast it in there.
Sizing does matter. 720,000.
Another tough spot for Tim. Do you think he's seen the 10-8 yet, Griff? You're better at the clock than me.
Well, I don't know. I know last week we were doing 20 minutes. Are we still doing that, or is it back to like 30, 35?
My babies.
30. Yeah, I'm going to say that has not seen it. Because I jumped on around 3:25 my local time, and it's exactly half an hour from then, so it'd be real close. Maybe he got it in right
Look
under
at
the...
things evening out. Evening out here, getting more and more socialist. That's going to get you happy, Sam Grafton.
Absolutely.
Let's not get political, guys. Everything has to be so political these days.
Yeah, I mean, if it were up to me, I'm such a communist socialist. I'd just take the prize pool, store it myself, and then sort of redistribute it in a very inefficient, bureaucratic way, waste a lot of it. I'd round Tim up, accuse him of hoarding grain, stick him in a rehabilitation camp. That's my kind of politics right there.
That would explain a lot if Tim was hoarding grain, actually.
Yeah. Kulak.
Hides it in his beard.
How many of these three players do you think have a beard right now? I've never met Sami Kalapuro, as far as I know, but I'm sure he must have grown a beard. He must have a beard. He can't be called Lars Luzak, not have a beard. Rui, I don't know. He's quite baby face. Maybe maybe he can't even grow a beard, Rui NF. Maybe
Sam,
he's
I got to tell you, I mean, as someone who can grow a great beard yourself and myself, and Joe when he really makes it work. You're speaking from a place of privilege here. Not everyone can grow a nice beard. Okay, so check your privilege.
Oh wow, he did it, guys. He did it. You guys have been waiting
Finally
for years for him to do it again, and he
check
did it.
your beard privilege.
I mean, let's just say, when something bad happens, you can't make a joke for it for like a few minutes. So with something really bad, a few hours. Really finally at the point where he can make a joke about it. 6 years later, he's been on the phone to Elliot Rowe.
Shut up! Look at this! Shut up! Ace King for Sammy. Ace Queen for Tim of the. Sam's been slowly.
Here we go.
Climbing.
Yeah, and pretty tough. We haven't seen Timothy take too many of these spots. Here, he's doing it for value. And the ace king off very, very often, just a jam here.
Kind of the best way to play it. Tim in jail. Not a lot of options. The biggest one being calling all in, dominated, and whiffs everything. There goes Tim Adams. A week ago, we saw him win the high roller. This week, it's only third place and only $156,000 for Tim Adams. And we are now heads up.
Yeah, a few nice words between these two. It's quite good to see. Lars actually, for the first time, taking the chip lead at this final table. See, a nice time to do it at the beginning of Heads Up. A lot more meaningful than being chip leader at the start of a tournament, that's for sure. Or at the start of a final table, I should say. And, I said I wasn't going to say anything nice about Timothy on this broadcast, but I think fair to say, again, another strong final table performance from, someone who's fast, assuming a kind of Ivy Chidwick world's #1 type status in the MTT world. I'm sure we'll see more of him in the weeks to come.
Rui with the 6 cards straight. Hard to find those. They should be worth more.
And again, no talk of a deal. These guys, good for us, going to battle out.
5 cards straight.
5 cards will do. And Rui making the early running in the Heads Up. Closed down that chip lead, almost back to even Steven. Did you play yesterday, Griff, or day off? Reading your 1,500-page double.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh yes, even Steven's here. No, I didn't. I had some big hockey NHL fantasy hockey drafts. It's the season's on Wednesday, so I'm in that zone right now.
All right, makes sense.
I'll tell you who was playing yesterday though. Not only was he talking trade talks with me in fantasy, while also playing online, Mike Leah. I was having trade talks, trade discussions with him all day yesterday, and then at one point he's like, "Hey, just give me till the break, and I'll get back to you." I'm like, "You're grinding while this is happening?" He's like, "Only the big stuff, only the big stuff."
Guys, I had to step away for a second, and I was talking to my friends on the alternative poker app Pokler, and we've decided that we're not going to accept the results of Tim Adams finishing in third, and we're going to storm the arena tomorrow. So, if anybody wants to come with me,
no politics.
Pocket four is still out in front right now. Gets the fold on the turn.
Timothy Adams, different class.
I refuse to accept that Timothy Adams finished in third.
And Lars with a pretty strong heads-up hand, and is going to continue against that very big pre-flop sizing, playing quite deep. So I guess this is the kind of hand you want to work into your calling range of 3 bets.
Yeah,
But,
it's a little fruity to take the 3 deuce suited. I don't know whether that's approved. And
is this another spot where Rui is going to have the bluff with 3 high? Or playing the board, I should say. Yep.
So
To,
I think
go ahead, Sam.
I think Lars will have to continue here with the flush draw. Obviously, Rui would generate a lot of folds there. And
There
now
it is.
this is a chop. Some relief for Rui. Now,
You guys, are we
kinda
doing it or
interesting,
not?
Because Lars might have 9s and aces specifically, but doesn't have many pocket players that play. And Rui blasts it in as a result. Really nice
Lovely.
from Rui and
Gets the fold too. Well done. Wow. Rui NF goes for it. Bluffs Lars Luzak off the chop and takes a significant chip lead. Here in the heads up.
And,
Playing
that's
for
a very-
58,000 in prize money difference.
See, Joe is an old school commentator, Sam. See, earlier, Rui got caught bluffing with the 3 high, and he was like, oh, God, why did you do that? What's going on? He does it there. He's like, and there he is. Unbelievable here.
yeah.
Like I said, I react to what happens, not what's about to
Yeah,
happen.
I know. Hey, you called it. I'm loving it. You're right on brand.
Yeah,
Open
and we
ender
should
here for
say,
Sammy.
we take it a little bit for granted, but I mean, it's tough on stream for the big money. So easy to kind of switch off, check, and hope to take half the pot. You've had 3 high no draw for the entire hand. It's such a relief when the 8 comes in. You can feel like, okay, let's just show it down and hopefully get half of it. Realizes that the range advantage, the bigger full houses are all in his range, that Lars is going to have these kind of unpaired overcards or pairs that are negated, and goes for the jam. Really, really nice
Sam,
play from Rui.
Are you surprised to see a 2.5x from the 10-4 offsuit here? The Roger that from Lars Luzak. You would think that would work more into the folds. Pre-flop.
Yeah, I mean, Luzak's going to know this quite well. I think you do have to be opening a lot. I agree with what you're saying. 10-4 off does seem like perhaps it goes there. Rui going for value here when the flush comes in. A nice fold from Luzak, not getting too stubborn without a heart in his hand. And we showed the even Steven, I want to say emoji, but it's not, like the even Steven graphic. But now Rui pulling away a little bit. Of course, lots
Emojis,
of
graphics, memes, animations, whatever you want to call them.
Animations, indeed. Just an emoji doesn't do it justice, right? Doesn't do justice to our hardworking team. Can't fire the ace, he doesn't feel, with the queen high.
I like the way that Tupeen on Twitch has sort of brought it all in here. Imagine going all in for $60,000 with 3 high. And that's why we're here.
What are you talking about? It was a full house.
Good stuff.
It's not often you go from having 3 high to making a full house in one card.
Touche.
Yeah.
Top pair, top kicker as Rui bets in to Lars Luzak with second pair.
This is a pot right here. Both flopping really strong for heads up, and the pot inflated with Rui's decision to 3-bet pre-flop. Could see a raise here, I guess, and we do. And MF pretty strong with this 5 and the jack of spades. You expect him to continue here, Sam?
I think he will. It's very, very weird. Definitely, these are the tough spots when you have the medium strength hand. So much easier when you know you're bluffing or you have a very strong value hand. It's the medium strength hands when you face aggression that are really, really testing even for these high stakes players. And quite a neutral card there coming off. 6-7, small worry, all in for value from Luzak.
Wow.
Now I think the Jack of Spades are bad cards.
I was going to say that, yeah, because the draws that Lars can have are the Queen Jacks of Spades, King Jack of Spades, sometimes. So really looking at a big 10 a lot of the time.
And a switcheroo, Lars Luzak now out in front. All hard flop. Going to steal that one as they approach even Stevens yet again.
Chessication asks, what are the commentators' names? Oh, I wish we could get a graphic for something like that, but I've been bugging them about it.
Thank you for your question. Pair of sixes for Sammy Calaboro.
And
That's
kings.
it, wins it.
Pair.
Sorry.
Two pair.
The sixes were good. I wasn't wrong.
I mean, Griff, I gave you some needle about only now being able to make jokes about check your privilege, but it's also, we're like 8 years into our friendship, and I think this is the first broadcast where I've been able to pronounce your surname correctly. Right? I think I called you Benga for the first.
I think you've called me Benger for years, but it's never really bothered me when people call me Benger for some reason. I feel like it bothers other people when they...
Because Benger's a dumb way to pronounce it?
It's pretty dumb, yeah. It's a dumb way to pronounce it, you know? It looks like banger. Like, let's...
Benjer. Just step up.
Yeah.
We should call you guys Benger and Mash.
Mm-hmm. Benger and Mash. Yeah, I mean, if someone I don't like pronounces it, like if Chidwick pronounces it wrong, I mean, right down his throat. But
do you know that Chidwick was going to be part of the Even Stevens thing, but we were afraid he wouldn't like the joke?
No
so
way.
It's two Steve O'Dwyer's.
Oh, no, it would have been better with Chidwick as well.
Here we go. We got a pop brewing.
You could have asked him.
10-8 off.
Ace high.
Aggro hand.
Did you ask O'Dwyer if he was okay with it?
Oh goodness, no.
Negative free roll. It's one of those, better to ask for forgiveness and permission.
He's getting sent a little bit of money though every time we use it, obviously for image rights, surely. And Rui
that's why they don't give us. That's why they don't give us the control for it.
Yeah, me and Griff get $3 to our Stars account every time they play the band. That's why I'm happy for them to play it.
Yeah. It's screen time too. The Ride on the River thing was a big payday. You get that check yet? Oh man, love it when they run that one.
A last
ditch
river bluff attempt. Lars Luzak.
Wow, nice call from Rui. Picking him off.
Nice ace high call there.
And there's obviously these guys, a lot of it is about study and they know the spots, etc. But, heads up is very, very personal. It can feel quite intense. And it's quite nice psychologically when you find a hero call like that. You pick your opponent off with ace high and just let them know that you're not afraid to make tough calls. It's going to be really nice for Rui there.
Raising the 3-bet, take it down, Rui.
I mean, 3 legends really in all their own rights when it was 3-handed with Timothy Adams. I mean, of course, at this level, we're going to see tons of legends on final tables, but those 3 specifically are, in kind of different ways, just really well regarded in the community for a very long time.
Yeah, so long.
From all over the world, too.
Queen high flop after Sammy raised this in position. Top pair for him. Takes it down. Got pocket sevens for Rui.
Num nums. Oh, duh. Did that wrong?
It's going to be good when Griff, when you and me like finally usurp Joe, he can go and do bingo. He'll be doing like 2 fat ladies 88s in the LA bingo hall or whatever.
That's basically my entire shtick for the last decade anyway. So. Pocket jacks for Lars Luzak, facing a raise from Rui, who has 6-9 suited. There's the 3-bet.
Yeah, and Rui probably going to feel he needs to defend this suited hand. It's been very aggressive pre-flop and
top set for Luzak, second pair for Rui, and a spade. More money will be going into the middle.
Yeah, little surprised at that check on such a dynamic flop.
Yeah,
but
I just said more money was going into the middle.
That feels like some 2005 strategy, eh? Sam, just like flop top set after 3-betting, you just snap check.
Always bet your sets. Come on,
1-2 cash game or something, you know. And then you start betting big. And
there's
like,
now we've got the 3/4 pot bet from Luzak.
Yeah, and on this 3 of clubs, Rui going to feel a lot more confident about the 9. That was a big brick. And Luzak going to love this card. Hoping Rui has a ace-4, ace-5, ace-8 of diamonds. There's plenty of ace-X. Might go for a shove here. Just trying to stack ace-9. And a really...
Well, it turns out more money did go into this pot. Will the rest of it go in with just a pair of 9s? Third pair, it's over if so.
Sam's been talking about the timing. Lars has been using a lot of these really fast actions, and you have to wonder, would Lars Luzak really snap check this flop with something like King-Queen, 3-betting pre-flop, something like King-10? Like, you'd have to think there'd be some consideration about continuing with a bet. So I think that actually might put less bluffs in the range. What do you think about that as far as a timing read, Sam?
Yeah, that also maybe 5-6, 4-6 are going to be some bluffs sometimes. Right. They would make sense. Rui considering this very strongly. We've seen him make hero calls before. It is over if he calls here. 8 seconds
I think he might
to
call.
decide.
I don't think it's the one. I think he should fold. Not because
I hope they play off.
A last-second call from Rui NF, and his chances of winning this tournament have been ruined. Congratulations, Lars Luzak, taking down this 10K high roller in the Blowout Series. Jonathan Van Fleet out very early. Klaas Segebrecht, the last player to not make 6 figures. Pablo, the qualifier, cash for $121,000. Timothy Adams still going to dispute this. Did actually go out in third, I guess. $156,000 for Tim. Rui Ferreira narrowly missing out on the win here for $202,000. And Lars Luzak, Sammy Caliparo, the winner, the champion of the 10K high roller in the Blowout Series, takes home $260,000. Whoa, what's up, Swedes?
Guys, what is going on with these high roller final tables? How are we getting done in such a short space of time? It's like not even 3 hours. They've already played down to a winner. Guys, Sam, you put in the whole stint tonight. You were here for the whole final table, all 2 hours and 40 minutes of it.
I'm a grinder. What can I say? I'm here for you guys.
Well, I've only been here for an hour. Can we hang out? Like, can we just play some code names online or Settlers of Catan? We got 2,500 people watching us. Let's do. Come on, I just got here.
That book ain't going to read itself, buddy. Besides, get some rest because we need you back good and strong next week for the final week of the Blowout Series. Griffin, you're going to be with us. We've got a 5K high roller final table. We've got the final big blowout. But before we get to that, and Sam, I know you're going to be part of the team tomorrow. We have got the $530 big blowout, which as I speak is down to the final 870 players. Tomorrow they're going to play down from 16 to 1. competing for a slice of the $6.4 million prize pool. We will be on air at the usual time tomorrow, 1:30 Eastern, 6:30 p.m. UK time, 7:30 p.m. Central European time. But for now, from Griffin Benger, Sam Grafton, Joe Stapleton, and me, James Hartigan, it is good night from the PokerStars Arena.